7. Hello and welcome to episode 41 of Nerds and Words. I get to be your host today, Tim Allen at 1337. Please forgive me. I'm getting over a light pandemic here. So if I cough in anybody's ear, I apologize. I'll do my best to mitigate that. But as always, joined with the Honorable Moreland TV.
Greetings.
And the very hairy Potion Shop TV.
It is I.
We got a lot to go over. We took a week off because I have been sick with COVID-19. It has been awful. I'll go over that in a little bit, but Sage Awakening and a bunch of other stuff has been going on in the BDO community. So I'm excited to get back into all of this with you guys. It's good to be in a Discord call with you guys, man. It really is. How was your couple weeks?
Yeah, it's been a little while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks off the podcast, I think. And so 3 weeks total.
You took 2 weeks off. We did one without you.
Oh, wait, you did?
Yeah, everyone's going to be spamming you for... you were in chat when we did it.
I don't think so. I was asleep.
Yeah. It was oh, maybe you were asleep. Yeah, it was Moreland Kerr and I.
Oh.
I don't really remember what happened. Oh, yeah, we did do that podcast.
Yeah, so everyone's going to be asking you where episode 40 is.
Oh, I put this one as episode 40 because I didn't realize that one happened.
Whoops.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Little housekeeping first. So how you been, Moreland? How you been living, man?
Pretty good. We already talked about the tournament last time, right? I have another round coming up tomorrow. I thought it was today, but it is tomorrow. I'm going to be fighting Hands later. Who is a decent warrior, and so we'll see how that goes. There'll be some practice. Yeah, other than that, just slaughtering all my characters in Darkest Dungeon, playing Ranked HOTS, which has been just going absolutely horrible, and genuinely enjoying Sage Awakening. Shocked at how much I'm enjoying Sage Awakening.
Really?
Yeah, you disagree? We'll get into it.
No, I don't disagree. I really haven't been playing Sage, so. How about you, Potion?
All right. Well, one of the weeks taken off was because of me and my. I just had a hard time with my sleep schedule. It's been like a constant battle for me, like over the last 3 years, and really hasn't stopped. It's mainly just becoming more disciplined with my time, and I do think I have a schedule that's kind of working out now. I have like allotted time for stream, allotted time for like working on music. A lot of time for like off time is currently Sunday. I might move that to Saturday, and I feel like that this new schedule is kind of working out. The thing that I threw in recently was working on music, and since I was working on this music, it kind of like threw a wrench into how I did my entire operations. And like so, for the last 2 months, I've been struggling with my time management because of all this, that, and the other, and it kind of just made a relapse of my like sleep schedule being even worse than it ever has been before. But I feel good now. I took some time to play League of Legends. I'm trying to get better at that. I want to eventually stream that on my channel. Maybe make a little bit of YouTube content for it. I mean, League of Legends is a good balance, in my opinion, of like competitive and casual, and that's a good one for me because I'm not going to like this me person. I'm never going to be the most hardcore PvPer. Like this is not going to happen. But I think League of Legends can be a good hire for that, maybe long term, as like when I'm not playing BDO, then I may be playing that. But I think that's really, really far off, and I'm not sure if that'll even ever happen, right?
What position are you playing?
I am really good at ADC and really good at top lane. I can fill the other roles and not die a whole lot, but mainly do AD carry and top lane.
Interesting. What a weird
Does that game still have the same meta like 10 years later of like solo mid, tank top, jungle, etc.? It's still like one map and everyone does the same shit.
It's the same map, and I'd say the meta is it rotates. So sometimes it's top tank, sometimes it's bottom tank. The mids rotate between assassins and mage carry. But I mean, in general, if you just wanted to say like how does it feel, you would say it's the same game.
God, it's crazy that game hasn't evolved at all. It's been so long. Still one map after all this time?
They change up the jungle a lot, which gives it a really different feel. That's kind of like how you really make it feel different. Like playing, it is kind of the same 5 characters slot in the same 5 areas. But sometimes you'll have like Karthus in the jungle or something crazy, and that really actually shakes up the game quite a bit, even though it is the same map. I don't think the amount of maps really matter. I actually kind of dislike that about HOTS.
Really?
Yeah, I wish they just had one, like the 2 and 3 lane map thing. I really hate that. Like, I wish they would
you're
just do 3
absolutely
lanes.
crazy, son.
I know, but
I think that League players having one map after like 20 fucking years is that's just a perfect metaphor for the MOBA genre as a whole. People are just so like keen on the game being as hyper competitive and min-maxed as possible that they just refuse to allow any variations that actually make the game fun.
Yeah, I do think
that's a
that's
good
true to
point.
some extent. Like the biggest change right now is they're like, ooh, they're updating the client, we're fixing some of the bugs. It's like that's the reason to get excited. Like, I don't know.
like Games Office has been such a mess. I can't believe they get much of anything done.
It's strange because the way they do things in like Riot Games, the way people who develop League of Legends, is they actually have like 20 people who will all be the same peon level. Like, they're like, none of them are the boss of each other, and so one of them has to like own us up and do the work, and then like the other 19 don't do anything a lot of times.
Yes, group projects, my favorite part of college.
Yeah, it's like that, but it's actual work environment, and it is absolutely terrible from what I've heard. I'm sure not all parts of Riot Games are like that, but I've heard a lot of parts are.
Yeah, I think that's a wild game for you to get into, but I honestly wish you really good luck with that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. You never know if it might work out, might not work out. It's kind of like a long-term plan, because if BDO sinks, I wanted to have another game that I can kind of put on my stream and play.
I feel like BDO's like the really popular nightclub in town. Like, you go there because it's popular and it's like the cool place to hang out, but when you're there, you're like, I wish this place would fucking close and another one would open up.
I mean, I
so
can get
a
that.
nightclub potion shop is like where a bunch of young, attractive people go together to drink and dance and have a good time, like on a Friday or Saturday night.
Well, I don't know about attractive.
Yeah, attractive is debatable. And
Oh,
I
well,
have
in
been
Florida
to a few
it is.
nightclubs.
I know, I'm just pushing your buttons, getting it started early. So I got COVID a couple weeks ago. I thought I was just getting sick. My son brought it home from daycare, and then his mom was sick for a little bit. She's like, I think I have COVID, but she said that like 20 times. And then I
didn't
got
know
sick.
you were married to Gilbert Gottfried.
It was his granddaughter, actually. So they sound exactly the same. The family reunions are terrible, but also hilarious. So she's like, I think I have COVID. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So, I take care of her and help her out for a little bit. And then I start getting sick, and I'm like, fuck. I thought I got, stayed away, and I thought all that kind of stuff. Like 2 days later, I'm eating breakfast, and I'm like, I can't taste anything. So that, I realized that is when I realized I fucked up. And so it slowly devolved into, I can't get out of bed. I don't think I got out of bed for 4 or 5 days. I not even logged on BD. I think I was just like coming downstairs once a day to reset my fishing because we had the koi event. And then I couldn't smell anything. And what I'm dealing with now is I feel like somebody's taken all the oxygen out of the air. So like just going up or down stairs, I'm beyond winded, but it's not like a constricting kind of thing. It's like my lungs aren't taking in oxygen kind of thing. So I'm just like all of a sudden like breathing really heavily and getting a little lightheaded. I only have about 50% of my taste back. It like wanes from like 25 to 50% with taste and smell.
So that means you can taste sour, but you can't taste sugar or something?
I can taste spicy. I can taste insanely sweet. And then when I didn't have any taste, I could tell something was like protein, carb, or fat. But it was almost like remembering what something tastes like. When like you get like a big craving for something, and you're like, oh, you can almost taste it in your mouth. That's what eating food was like. So I barely ate for a couple of days because it's really hard to want to eat when you can't taste or smell anything, and smell's obviously connected to taste and all that stuff. So it's been a really rough couple weeks. And then last week, I have stairs that are made out of tile, and there's like a little sharp part. Sliced my foot open on my stairs. I tripped and sliced my foot open. I actually really needed to go to the hospital, but I had COVID, and I don't want to go like infect a bunch of people. So I'm gonna have to go to a doctor. I'm gonna have to go to a doctor sometime next week, and
You just super glued it shut. Maybe put some duct tape on
I
it.
did. Yeah, I did super glue it.
Oh, wait, you actually put super glue in it? I mean that is like one of the things you do, but I didn't realize you actually did that.
I definitely needed stitches. It's really gnarly, and so it's been a really rough week. But the highlight was I have played an insane amount of Star Wars Galaxies. I unlocked my Jedi, and I am super fucking happy. Super fucking happy. So I am starting.
You finally got it?
I finally got it. Yeah.
Did you ever have it back in the day, or is this like a first time?
This is the first time. I was like a crafter kind of thing. You could only have one character. Yeah, you could only have one character in original.
I don't know what it is, but there's something that's just so like when you fail to do something as like a 10-year-old and then you go back like years later and do it as an adult in like a super old video game. I love that shit, dude. That's just my kind of nostalgia.
So if I can cut out like 3 minutes to explain this, because it's been a really cool thing. So I'm officially a Jedi. I've got a lightsaber and everything. And so I'm basically like, it's against the law to be a Jedi in this realm of Star Wars. So anytime I ignite my lightsaber in front of NPCs that are humanoid or players, I get a bounty. And there's a ton of bounty hunters in this game because you can have 10 characters. And so you just go to a terminal and you can just see Cat Jam and then the amount of money it is to kill me. And so people have already come and started killing me and stuff. And so I have to like hide in private buildings. I have to make sure I've got a doctor to res me, because you lose hours and hours of experience if they kill you and you res. So if a doctor reses you, it's kind of a way around it. So right now I'm literally making a doctor to res myself, so I don't have to rely on chat to res me when I get ganked.
Wow.
But I'm a Padawan, so I'm insanely weak. Anybody can kill me. But I've got this other guy that's been playing this game forever. This community he's been pulling these really crazy hard mobs and debuffing them and bringing them to me, spending hours and hours and hours just leveling my Jedi with me. And it was just some guy that plays the game and likes to see new people stream and come into the community. And he's been insanely helpful. And I guess he's done this for a lot of other, not just streamers, but players too. Eventually, he's going to farm me on his bounty hunter and collect a bunch of credits for it. But
he realizes if you get stronger, then you'll be worth more money. So
that's basically it. But yeah, so he grows up. He's basically grown. We're all a bunch of seeds. But still, it's super worth it. So I get to enjoy the game, and then when I get too high of a bounty, he's gonna Pusha gets it. He says he's gonna come collect on it. But it's a fair trade. It's a fair trade. All he wants is PvP. So when it comes to PvP me, I'm just not going to run. It's really easy to run in that game. I'm just going to stand my ground and do the best I can. And I think that's a fair trade.
Yeah, it's like a win-win for both of you then.
Yeah, I've just been having so much fun. The nostalgia's at a 12. I'm finally the guy with the lightsaber that I always, saw and was like, oh, fuck, man, I wish I could put in the time for that. It's taken 5 months to get here. Most of it's been time gated, but a lot of it's some of the most tedious questing I've ever done. It makes BDO questing look fun. But the end result is really some cool gameplay, and there's just enough of a community for it to be really enjoyable. So I'm working real hard to finish out my template so I can start doing some hardcore PvP with it too, like start killing the bounty hunters that are coming after me.
Do you think that kind of shit could work in a modern MMO, or do you think people are just way too like min-maxed and sweaty now?
Well, the whole game is, so the emulator has actually been online longer than Star Wars Galaxies Live was alive. So the entire game is as sweaty min-maxed as possible. All the weapons and food and buffs and everything are all server best, the best possible stuff. So as far as that is concerned, yeah, I think it absolutely could survive in today's environment. But the real problem is just how sandbox it is. and like major companies, especially with like Star Wars, a major IP attached to it, just aren't going to make a game like this. So I don't think a game like this is ever really going to come out again. I think it was ahead of its time, and I think it's too late for a kind of a successor to come.
I mean, I haven't played it a whole lot, but I've watched Tim play it, and like the idea behind it, I think can exist in a modern MMO, but probably as like a side objective, like an optional thing that you don't have to do. So like the main characters, the main competitive and everything would be like, its own thing, and then as a side objective, you could go and make like a character that's a bounty hunter, or like a character gets hunted by bounty hunters. I can see that type of thing existing as like a side objective, but not as a primary objective.
Well, that's what it is in Star Wars Galaxies, is you don't have to be a Jedi or a bounty hunter. And most people in the live version of the game weren't. Most people weren't, because you could only have one character per account. So you really had to, and there was 36 professions, and you can mix and match a couple of them, but you're basically doing PvE, resource gathering, or PvP. So, I think it's all about monetization. If we get back to the meta of like a box price monthly sub thing, and maybe it's $20 a month instead of $15, you'd be able to see, somebody put some money together for a passion project like that. And there's a surprising amount of people who really do still enjoy this game specifically, and this version of this game. But I really don't think we're ever really going to see anything like Star Wars Galaxies. I mean, the housing system, how PvP works,
I guess
how it all dovetails within, an IP like Star Wars. I think it's a once in a lifetime game.
Like I could see it in like BDO in the capacity of someone like if they like expand the negative karma aspect of BDO and make that actually like a full-fledged thing. I think that
I'm with you. They could do that 100%. There's actually even another bounty hunter Discord on top of that. But you're focusing on such a small part of what this game is and the enormity of the game and the crafting and all that kind of stuff. So to answer the question again, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that side of it, it's people don't have the patience to sit down there and do like, whatever it is, 100-hour grind to get started.
It's huge, and everybody's super nice to people. When somebody pops in chat like, "Oh, I remember this game. How do I play?" And it's like, all right, so make sure you follow all the guys that stream it often and ask as many questions as possible, because it's all tribal knowledge. And you got it. We give all new players a bunch of money. We show them where the trainers are and stuff. And it's maybe 3 to 5 people a week or something that comes and joins the game, but it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. You won't see any sub games until the current sub games die. I bet there's a lot of truth to that, actually.
What are the
current sub games?
World of Warcraft,
Final Fantasy, right?
Final Fantasy.
I think Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft will eventually phase themselves out just because they don't want to update their game engines and graphics and stuff. Like I think eventually they'll just become too great of a hurdle for the modern Zoomers to kind of like, why would I want to play a game that looks like this?
I feel like that happened 10 years ago, didn't it? I mean,
World of Warcraft looks like way different.
Old game.
Well, I mean, I think that every generation has that game where it's like it keeps staying around and nothing becomes like that. And
I don't know, 12-year-olds are still starting Minecraft for the first time. That game's been out for how long?
Well, I mean, I guess that's true.
they're not playing it with RTX on either. They're playing it on their phone or their dad's old Wii or something, right?
Oh, you can play it on Wii now? That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I think it's on every platform, dude. It's fucking Minecraft.
I know when Minecraft and RuneScape first went to when you could play them on your phone. That was like the biggest thing. I was like, whoa, I can play Minecraft on my phone. RuneScape
it's still one of the highest grossing apps ever. Yeah,
it's insane.
Oh, I started playing RuneScape because I couldn't leave my bed. I picked up old school RuneScape on my phone. You want to talk about a punishing game in the early phases? I have no idea what to do in that game.
I need to log into my character so it doesn't delete it.
So many people I know play old school RuneScape, and I just can't figure out what the fuck's happening. Anyway, we can talk about other games more afterwards. Let's get into the BDO stuff. Potion, you want to walk us through some patch notes, my dude?
So I didn't realize there was an episode 40 before this episode. So there might be a couple duplicates in here, but I'd appreciate at least brushing over them.
No worries.
This week's patch, they had Sage Awakening come out, and that is like the meat and potatoes of this week's patch. What are your thoughts of it so far?
I really, really enjoy it. I'm kind of surprised at how good of a job they did. It's pretty well-rounded kit. The abilities are mostly kind of have like a unique flow to them. There's a bunch of interesting like cancels and combos that are not obvious at first. But at the same time, the base kit is pretty intuitive. Like you can pick him up and kind of learn him pretty quickly. I really enjoy it. It feels a little bit like old school warrior to me in a weird way, even though he's kind of like a more ranged castery type class. There's just something about the way you can chain your abilities together and mix and match things and do certain combos feels like it just feels like old BDO. It feels like they actually tried.
Is he slow?
He's not that slow. No, you have a few slow animations, but you can iframe out of most of them. There's different windows of time that you can iframe out of. So, for example, like shift left has a really long animation, but you can cancel out of the first part of it. So if you miss that first part of it, you're committed to the full animation and your grab bait. But if you're in a situation and you start casting it and you think, oh, this is too dangerous, you can still get out of it. So it doesn't feel quite as vulnerable as Pre-Awakened Sage did, where it was like every time you cast a spell, you just felt so vulnerable. I feel like you can get out of things a little bit easier with his Awakening. And you can also just straight up animation cancel a lot of stuff too. Once you get the hang of it, there's a really cool rhythm to chaining his skills together. That feels a lot like an Awakened Warrior combo where you just shit out like 4 animations in less than a second and, send somebody flying and debuff them all at the same time.
What kind of gear are you playing? What did you tag this?
No, just Oasis weapons. So I have 278 AP and 348 TP.
You do any RBF or anything with them?
Yeah, RBF was all right. I felt like it melted pretty fast. I don't have a ton of health on him. And like I'm missing my 4-piece Hoom from my Awakening and stuff like that. So I'm definitely behind. I'm way behind in damage from using these weapons. But yeah, I got some kills. He's got a pretty decent ability to engage and disengage. He's got a good amount of protected movement and a good amount of unprotected movement. So it's kind of up to you how much risk you want to take.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely takes some practice getting in and out of big engages, but he's got the potential to do it.
So I was a little turned off. I like that Succession came out with it, but I was a little turned off from Nova and all these other classes that came out that I just really didn't enjoy. So I've been kind of staying away from it, and I've been. What's that kitty's name?
Which one is this?
I didn't mean to ask you such a hard question.
This is Peach. They both. I can't tell unless I'm looking at their face. They both look the same from behind.
Damn, that's a nice cat butt. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, Nova kind of turned me off. I don't know the new class and how often they come out. I really have a tough time like dedicating time to trying to do that. I rather just kind of keep getting better at my own class that I'm pretty dedicated to. So I enjoy watching other people do it, and I'm glad that this has turned out to be a good addition. Yeah, I guess Nova turned out to be a pretty good addition too, but it seems like that they're just like updating, like what do we call Nova? Awaken Nova, Better DK, stuff like that kind of sucks. We're just going to end up with like 30 classes and 10 of them are going to be dead, but I guess it still progresses the game. But I feel like you lose so much nuance when you swap classes all the time or lose muscle memory or something. I don't know if I'm really going to dive into new classes anymore. I think I'm just going to be an old crotchety guardian. That sounds like Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah, Sage Awakening is the first class that makes me like want to put in the time and learn it. I feel like the potential for the class to be fun and to be played in a way that's like unique or at a high ceiling is really there. When I tried playing, so like for Hashashin, I really liked playing the Succession, but then when I started playing the Awakening, I was like, holy shit, I'm really gonna have to like stop and figure out how all these abilities chain together. And I don't know, it seemed like a bigger undertaking. With Sage Awakening, right away, I started to see like, oh, okay, so I could use this skill and combo and this skill and chain this animation. I was like right away interested in, what was going to chain into what, how I could cancel, how I could, like, we spent like 4 or 5 hours the other day just in Battle Arena trying out different combos. Oof. And it was a really interesting puzzle to solve. It didn't like feel tedious. It felt satisfying to like find a new way to chain skills together that was better than the previous one.
That's interesting. You play a lot of classes, right, Potion? What are you gonna jump into Sage now that you're getting back into BDO and done with music and stuff?
Well, I played Sage Awakening day 1, and I tagged it at 301 AP Awakening, and took it to Sakurai and was immensely disappointed. Uh,
Yeah.
the problem is that it's a class for a very niche community. It's like a ninja type class, like a sorcerer succession type class. A very, very high animation canceled, and like that kind of nuance of gameplay. And I think the other thing that really turned me off is I tried only the awakening abilities, and it turns out your best damaging ability in PvE is actually your shift form from your absolute abilities. That's your best damaging ability. It's not your all your awakening abilities are weaker than your shift form in PvE. And that was really, really disappointing to me. And like that's just an immediate turn off when my primary DPS is not from my awakening when I'm playing awakening. And then I think I had a bad spell of that at the beginning because I think I just picked all the bad abilities to try learning at the front. Forward F automatically rotates your camera 180 degrees, which is very disorienting, in my opinion.
I love it. I love it.
I think some people
It's so
like it.
good.
I think some people will like it, but for me, I would rather have like 3 charges to it, and then basically use the ability, turn the camera myself, and be able to reuse the ability myself. That way, I feel in control of my camera. And I think after playing it some more, I think that some people will enjoy that, and I think that's probably just a personal taste thing. I just don't enjoy. And I like it.
If you PvP with it, you'll really like the fact that it turns your camera for you. It's basically auto aim, like it basically aimbots for you. It's actually kind of good.
Yeah, I think I don't know the PvP side of it at all. The PvE side of it, also you have an Archon thing, and it doesn't scale with your AP and accuracy. I don't think. It didn't feel like it scaled with your AP and accuracy. It feels like it scales off its own.
So you think that your pre-awakened skill does more PvE damage than any of your awakened skills?
Yeah. And if like for DPS per second, it's the best damaging ability. The second best is your forward F, which rotates your camera by 180 degrees, and you cast it 3 times in a row. As long as you target an enemy, it'll cast it. And once you target and hit an enemy, it'll cast it up to 3 times in a row. And that's your second best damaging ability. And so like I originally thought it was a really garbage class in PvE, but once I learned about the form shift and how to tie that together with your forward W or forward F, I mean, for DPS. I think the DPS on it, I originally rated it like a really, really low tier, like A-, and I quickly moved that up to A after I learned a little bit more about the class, and now moved up to
A- A- is really low.
Do you have a tier list for the skills?
Not for the skills, no, just the class in general. I thought originally it was really bad though, and now I think it's really similar right now to. I think it's a little weaker than Sage Succession in PvE. Really similar to Sorceress Awakening. Really similar to what would be another class that'd be maybe DK Succession. So I think it's an okay place in PvE, but it's a nuanced class where if you're not the type of person who likes learning animation cancels over a long period of time, is not going to be your cup of tea. Which I'm not a big fan of that. But
I disagree.
If you do like that, then it's going to be one of the most fun
Here's why I
classes for you.
disagree. So if you playing like Awakened Warrior, it can get exhausting after a while because the way you cancel animations, there's like pretty punishing windows where if you fuck up your input, then you fuck up your combo. With Sage's cancels, they did it pretty clean in terms of like ease of input. You can just queue up your next ability during your current one, and it kind of goes off as soon as it needs. Like you don't have to time it that well. I feel like the animation canceling on this guy is actually pretty relaxed and pretty smooth. I don't feel fatigued when I'm playing him for long periods of time, canceling all my abilities together.
I don't think the difficulty is high to play him. I think it's the difficulty comes in learning how to play him in the first place. Once you've learned how to play him, I think he's easy and enjoyable to play. But I think the learning process on him is extremely frustrating and not natural unless you're an advanced player. So I think it just comes down to personal taste. Like I think that's the TLDR what I'm saying, right? If you're a type of player who likes an advanced type class, like you're a guy who plays like complicated classes, then you'll probably enjoy it. But if you're the person who just wants like a Guardian Awakening, then
whoa! I was ready to say that sounds right up my alley. I should give this a try. I like complicated classes.
So if you're the type who
I
likes
didn't miss you at all.
simple classes,
Awaken Musa is what you meant to say.
yeah, excuse me, Awakening. If you like Awakening Musa or simple classes, then I think it may not be up your alley, and maybe worth trying still. But like, I feel like people who don't like the Awakening will like Succession, and people who don't like Succession will like Awakening. I think that's typically how the class is currently balanced. So for me, I like Succession a whole lot, and I think that is like, I think the typical response that I would have would be that I don't like the Awakening. I think our people would probably say this too.
Here is a video of a 267 AP Sage getting 5.6k trash at Star's End with a blue loot scroll and no Agris.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable.
No, that's not reasonable. That's extraordinary. That's insanely high.
I think that's very reasonable for where they're balancing classes right now. Like an ape, like a class.
Please show me a video of any other class getting those numbers at Star's End with that AP. Please show me one video of one other class doing that.
I don't make that much trash.
Maybe Sukhash. Maybe.
What was the AP?
267.
Get fucked. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Yeah. That doesn't exist.
No.
It stars in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Star's End. Potion, how much trash do you think people are getting at Star's End nowadays with like 290 AP?
This guy is 273 Kudum, which is slightly higher, and he pulls 5,400.
Okay.
On
That's
what
not
class?
slightly higher, first of all.
What? That's only 8 AP higher?
The
It's only-
269 bracket is the biggest bracket in the
Huge.
game, so that's a substantial increase. And also, he's still getting less trash. He's still getting 200 less trash. And which class is that?
Succession Sork. I'm not looking at Striker or any of the.
Which is godly. So yeah, I mean, I think he's in a pretty good spot, man. I feel like he's in a pretty good spot. Like
Yeah,
saying
I
that's
don't-
just expectable or normal.
Yeah,
That's
I never said he
definitely
wasn't,
S tier.
No, I don't think he's S tier. I think S tier depends on the player's skill, and so you can't say what is the average player's skill going to be on the Succession Awakening
He's not
Sage.
hard enough. He's not hard enough to say that it depends on player skill. If he's getting 5.6k trash with less than 269 AP, dude, no other classes do that.
The I think like I said, I think it comes down to player's skill. Your average player will not be able to pull anything close to that. They just won't. It's like that guy who pulled like 6,700 trash in Sakurai on Striker on the statue rotation, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, Striker!" Being like, "Yeah, your average Striker's not going to come anywhere close to that, even with the exact same gear, because it's a player skill thing."
Somebody is just such a savant after literally one day of playing the new class that they've pierced this ceiling of Sage Awakening, and other people won't be able to catch up to where this person was on the first day that the class came out.
Like I think that is a very
You practice for months and you'll never
that's
be as good as this guy
anecdotal
after one
evidence.
day.
That's anecdotal evidence for what it is, and the average player won't be able. I do not.
You
think
just
the average
dig
player-
your heels in the weirdest ways sometimes.
Well, I mean, it's one example, right? And I gave you there's other examples you can find on YouTube. I found another YouTube video here for a Sork who's 267 and pulls 5.3k.
Which is still less.
Yeah, but I mean that's fine. Like it's a new class. Like once we get more information in, then like I don't put things in S tier unless it's really, really clear that they should be there. Like and then, like I said, I think it comes down to very, very largely player skill.
I have 290 AP, and I'm an Awakened Guardian, which is S tier, right? If I work as hard as I possibly can on a blue loot scroll, I might be able to get what this guy is getting at less than 269 AP Kudum. I might be able to. If I'm off stream, had a Red Bull, super focused. That's the end of the discussion. I mean, there's nothing anecdotal about it.
It's literally measurable. That's what cracks me up about these conversations. It's
and then don't even get me fucking started about 6,000 trash on Sakurai Suck Striker. That thing's insane. Suck Striker's insane. That's why everybody's going Suck Striker.
Yeah, that's
Grind
why I
on
said-
Suck Striker, please.
I don't.
How many
I
subs do
don't
I have to give you to do
understand what
Suck
we're
Striker?
arguing about, right? I'm saying I want to wait longer until the class is out longer, so we can have more evidence for it being a strong class.
You said he was A minus. Well, you're not waiting. If
no,
you're
no, no,
waiting,
no.
just say
No,
you
no,
don't know
I
what
did not
tier he's
say
in.
that. You have to listen to what I said. I said I originally put it A
crying.
minus. I moved it up to A, and now I have it at A plus. That is what I said.
Okay, well, I'm going to be interested to see how this evolves.
Yeah, and I think that with more time and more evidence, I would be more than willing to move them up. I do things really slowly with the tier list. I do it based on how much evidence I have for it.
I know you don't like Junior, but he's 305 AP and a better PvE Guardian for sure than I am. And he gets 5,600 on a blue loot scroll and stars in.
Yeah, but
Just
there's
as
a
a
big
frame of
difference because the high end cap for Guardian is lower with higher AP because she doesn't have as much mobility. So that's you're comparing like take Guardian there at 245 AP and then compare that to 245 AP on Sage Awakening. That would be a fair comparison.
No, I don't think so because mobility matters in a class. So if you're rating
Mobility
Guardian at
matters
S
when you're
tier,
over geared for a grind spot. Mobility does not matter when you're under geared for a grind spot. And so my tier list takes both into consideration. So Guardian is better when you're under geared for a grind spot, and then other classes that have higher mobility are better when they have when they're over geared for a grind spot. And Guardian falls behind when it's over geared for a grind spot compared to our classes. You see what I'm saying?
What? No, sorry I dug in on this.
I feel like we're talking about Fogans or something. I don't know. I don't think any of this is relevant at Hadoom or Star's End.
What's next?
Well, I mean, what do you guys think that for Sage Awakening anyway? Like, what do you think they're going to need to change about the class? What do you think is already good about it? Doesn't need changing? What do you think they're going to do with it? Because obviously, Prohibitus wants to focus super hard on what Sage Awakening is and where they want it to be. Is it where it should be? Does it need buffs? Does it need nerfs? What do you guys think right now?
I think the PvE damage needs some buffs.
Get out of here.
I don't know. It's funny because I've been hearing that a lot. I've been hearing everyone say that his PvE damage is really bad. So he might actually get buffed, in which case maybe I'll even start grinding on this guy. I was just going to use him as a tag for T1s. But if they're going to buff his PvE beyond this, maybe I'll just fully reroll.
I mean, the reason we hear that is because the average casual player, like, it's just they're not going to know how to play it properly. It's just one of those classes where the average player won't play it well. And that's
I just don't think here's the thing though. I think he's pretty fucking easy to play. Like in terms of all the new classes that came out, I mean, he's definitely way easier than Hashashin, right? And like people seem to be pretty consistently doing well in that class.
I think that's true if you're looking at if you're aware that animation cancels are a thing. If you're aware of that and you've played a class before that has those, but if you're playing a class that doesn't take advantage of animation cancels in any significant way.
If it's like your third day playing the game, then maybe he's not the best, but I feel like that's a weird benchmark to use.
Well, I mean, I think you are a if you had to take BDO players and say who is a professional player, like you would fall into the professional player category because you have so much experience in BDO.
Now
like,
he's sucking up. Oh my god.
But I mean, like,
yeah, but just because I have a lot of experience playing the game doesn't mean I can't assess when a class is difficult or not. This is clearly one of the easier kits. I would say his Succession was actually more complicated than his Awakening. His Awakening is really pretty straightforward once you play around with it. That's one of the things I liked about it is how quickly you could pick it up, but also how much depth there was once you practiced to it and how many things you could discover about it. But none of it was particularly complicated. You don't have to time any of his cancels. You literally just hold one input down after the other. You don't accidentally input the wrong skill. You don't miss certain windows. You don't need 200 FPS. Like it's really quite smooth and easy for anyone to pick up who, isn't like brand new to the game.
I mean, I guess we're just going to have to agree to disagree on this because I don't agree with that take, and I think that's fine, I guess.
How many hours do you have on the class so far?
I played him for 25 minutes and hated the absolute shit out of him, and then people told me to go play him again, and so I've put in since then maybe 3 or 4 hours since then in PvE, and like learned his combos a little better. So, I mean, his damage is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, that is no doubt. Like taking him and I put waste weapons on him compared to all the other classes that I've been playing with Oasis weapons, and his damage, like either his shift form, his absolute, or his forward F using the ability can one shot the Varus. And there's no other class in BDO that really has one ability that can one shot Varus at Miramok with my current gear that I have on him with Oasis weapons, that is. So it's a really strong indicator of how strong he is. That he has 2 abilities that do that, and most classes don't have even one.
Sucklon has like 5 skills that can do that, right?
Maybe I haven't played it enough. Yeah, actually,
I think everybody's going to agree that you have not spent enough time on that class to even come close to being as strong on the takes that you have.
Well, I think that if you're looking at like mastery of class and what is physically possible to pull out at high-end trash spots and stuff, like, no. But like, I'm just judging it based on its AP scaling of its abilities compared to other classes' AP scaling, which is really easy because all you have to do is go hit the monsters 1 time with the ability, maybe 2, and like, long as accuracy is not a big factor in it, which it's not, then you can tell really easy. Like, recently they just buffed April 7th Musa's Crust Crusher into Foul Play, and if you do both those abilities with my current gear, it doesn't kill Varus. It does like 80 to 90% of their health. And it takes way longer to cast the same ability. And none of the other abilities, all the other abilities do like 40% of the health to the monsters. And you compare it to Sage, where all of his abilities do like 50%, or they just one-shot the enemy with the ability. And I think that just shows the AP scaling is so much higher on those abilities. And you can do the same thing with, like, I've played in the last 3 days about 15 different classes trying to test out my my tier list in PvE. So it's been an absolute, like, it has been a nightmare. I think 15 hours of testing is what I put into it. This on every class, just going around. I actually gave Vlon a proper rating. I actually played it and tested it. Give it a proper rating on my tier list finally. Or Maywa, I mean.
Oh, I was going to say, you've got a weird relationship with Lon. Okay, good.
I moved.
So where did I'll bite? Where did Maywa land?
Maywa is like a B+. Like, she has good damage when her cooldowns are up, and they're really comparable to like the abilities on Ninja Succession. But the downside is she runs out of abilities because she only has 3 good damaging abilities. And so she runs out of abilities, and then she's just kind of stuck. Where Ninja has like 7 different abilities. You can rotate 7 to 8 different damaging abilities.
What 3 are they?
It's your shift right click, your shift F, and it's your forward right click. Those are the 3. I don't know what the names are.
Are you New Year's Eve spamming?
Sticky Snowflake into Moonlight or whatever that is.
No, when you hit spacebar all the time.
I don't use that a whole lot, no. But
that would be probably a pretty big problem with your Maywa grinding then.
Yeah, and like, I'm just judging AP scaling on it. I don't have the time to learn to play the class 100% properly at high
Moonrise. Moonrise is something that you can use when you're out of cooldowns that still has really good damage to it as well.
Like, so basically, I have like a couple different stages of how I rate a class. If I don't play a class at all, I just take people's opinions. I look up videos on YouTube, and I kind of give it the best educated guess I can. For classes I have played but I'm not a master of, then I basically just do like AP scaling and compare that to other classes' AP scaling. And then for classes I've leveled to 62, I actually play them properly and do different combos with them to actually adjust, see how they compare to other classes. Like DK Awakening now is actually better than Ninja Succession and PvE, unless you are like literally like maxing out your APMs and you've put like 1,000 hours in on your Ninja and you really know everything about it. Then they're probably about equal.
Well, I think the Sage thing is more relevant. If just some friendly advice, I think you should spend some more time with Sage and see how that pans out. I'd like to hear how that goes. Maybe take it to Star's End or whatever, since we had that conversation. But I think you should take a second stab at Maywa. There's a couple of like really serious mechanics that you missed on that for the grind. The Maywa grind really isn't like the worst part of Maywa on Awaken, and then the Succession one's kind of fun too with all the decap spam. So I think I used to play Maywa years and years ago, and I have like I really wish that I liked the class and it was more my play style, but I did like really love the aesthetics. It's actually the class that got me into BDO. So, you know, if I can throw up a little flag for my my Maywa homies.
Yeah. Well, I moved it from C to B+. So
once you spend some time with it, though, it's actually pretty enjoyable.
I do think it's a fun
even
class
though it's
to
a
play.
dead class.
I do think it's actually more fun to play than Musa Awakening, honestly. I think it's
Yeah,
actually a little
yeah.
bit more fun.
Yeah, back in the 2016, 2017, 2018, Musa was better in every way, shape, and form. And then once like the average AP got like to the 260 arena, Maywa all of a sudden started kind of fucking pretty hard.
Yeah, I think she also just has better like overall like combat mobility, like rotating behind for back attacks and like getting where she needs to be.
Yeah, sleet steps is a huge thing too in the Musa versus Maywa thing. Anyway, so let's get back on track here.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess rounding out with Sage Awakening, I kind of hope they do something about the Shift E. The Shift E I find maybe a little hard to control, and that might just be user error on my part. But I find that a little awkward. It's sort of like you're supposed to be like dashing forward and hitting enemies while you dash, but I always feel like I come out at the end at a random location that I didn't predict. And
It's like Wolf's Frenzy. You ever use that?
no, I don't think so. That's on Mystic or Striker or something?
Both.
Both?
Yeah, and then Guardian kind of has a similar skill too, right?
Is that the Shift F on Awakening?
I'm pre-awaken.
On Pre-Awakening? I find it a little.
Yeah, you teleport to your target. I mean, I think it's supposed to be a little erratic, right? You teleport to your target and you bounce around. I think you're supposed to be kind of unpredictable when you do it. If your opponent can predict where you end up and out of that skill, then you're just gonna get grabbed out of it, right? Because you can't like cancel it.
I guess
so. If you've played a class that's had that mechanic, that skill, it's really easy to counter. But if you've never used it, it's pretty hard to know what the fuck's going on.
Is there a way that I can like predict how to use that Shift E, like and like roughly know where I'm going to end up at?
Just experience time.
Okay.
I could spend an hour explaining it to you. You could spend 30 minutes using it, kind of thing. You know?
I'll probably play with it some more. Like I don't plan on giving up on Sage Awakening. I definitely know it's not my type of class. Like Sage Succession is definitely where what I really enjoy a lot more. But I definitely think it probably deserves a few more hours.
I don't envy you doing this whole PvE class thing, man.
I'm leveling my ninja up some more. Everybody keeps telling me how I'm playing ninja wrong and that ninja isn't a bad class. And I'm telling you, bro, like I've tried every single combo they tell me, and all of them do bad damage.
You look for mountains to die on now. You're like,
oh, good God.
You can't. Man, I'm gonna make a streamer tier list like everybody else. I think that's the only tier list I'd ever really consider.
A streamer tier list.
Yeah, just put everybody below you, and then put a bunch of Keck W's all over it.
You need to have a tier list based on how much toxicity the streamer gets. That would be a good tier list.
I think toxicity is in the eye of the beholder, my friend.
Well, sure.
I'm pretty sure Junior's still not unbanned in your chat, so
that's another week.
I'm still with Potion on that one.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I like the way I kind of approach my chat is if you have someone who's producing 80% of your problems, like, and like it's just time to get rid of them. So
why am I not banned again?
I mean, you're not like you don't come from a place of maliciousness, right? Like just for like pure entertainment.
Well, neither does Junior. He just can't help himself.
And plus, you actually like work a lot, and like I don't know, you don't come by every single day and stuff. Like I don't know.
I do.
Like,
you just ignore me.
Oh well, maybe that's it. I don't know. I know. I feel like it's pretty reasonable. Like that's kind of the philosophy I have. Like I basically, if my chat is not fun to hang out in, or if it's being toxic, that's my fault. That's not chat's fault. That's my fault for not like handling that and like curbing that appetite.
Okay, but let's get back to the point. What's the sub goal to get you to make a streamer tier list?
Oh, well, I'm banning Junior at 300, so I guess 250 will make a streamer tier list.
Okay, can you advertise that, please? Because I would love to see your streamer tier list.
So when Guardian does that little hop backwards, that's because they missed their grab, right? Or am I confusing that with another class?
You're confusing that with Striker, Mystic.
So when a Guardian whiffs a grab, they don't hop backwards?
No, they just die instantly. So Guardian pre-awaken grab is a lunge forward, and the Guardian awaken grab when it misses, hold on, is just to stab, and then she pivots on her left foot, stabs forward, misses, takes that step back, but never moves.
She steps back, right?
No, but it's not. She doesn't physically move. It's a lunge forward and then just a retreat.
Well, anyway, I think a Guardian just whiffed a grab on me, and I framed backwards, and I still had enough range to do a ranged long grab on my Sage and Killer.
Yep. How have we not talked about the fucking Sage grab? Like, out of all the things that it has in its pre-awaken kit, I understand that like the succession iframing shit is way better than the pre-awaken, but the fact that it's got a, the desyncy, fuck your game up, range grab bullshit, I hate that.
Wait, what? You come out of your iframe?
I love it, dude.
And then you grab somebody? Is that how it works?
I love it. It's such a long range. I think, dude, it's weird because sometimes it's got really long range and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know if it's just getting resisted, but I swear this range grab is like got as much or possibly even more range than Lawn sometimes.
Fuck that, dude. 100% fuck that.
I mean, he's vulnerable enough to kind of justify it, though.
To combo someone with this class, man. I can't believe that people aren't having fun playing. They did such a good job.
I think I think you value the PvP side really highly, don't you? Though, like how
yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing. You're right. I have not been grinding that much, but he does have some really good grinding skills. I mean, his Chain Lightning is a fucking insane pull skill. It's an AOE debuff instant cast. Like, I mean, it's basically Ground Roar.
I thought you'd hate it for another class to have Ground Roar. You were so upset when Guardian had the Shift Z pull thing. You're like, oh, is that another?
No, I want them to put Ground Roar on every class so that I don't have to play
You're still full of shit,
anymore.
kid. Oh my god.
Every time I try to reroll in PvE, I'm like, well, no Ground Roar. Fuck this shit. Pulling is
You're the number one Succession Guardian NA or Succession Warrior NA.
Warrior.
You want to keep Warrior great. I know it. Try to bullshit.
I literally grind with Awakening though.
I think he's given up on Warrior, so at this point he's hoping for a replacement. He wants Warrior replacement, Warrior 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
They need to make a fast Nova Succession. That's what they need to do.
I think if you play it for more than 10 hours, it's pretty fast.
It's actually pretty nice.
Have you watched a really good Succession Nova like Node War?
I know.
It's pretty insane.
Yo, speaking of PvP, like Striker, how do you rate him in 1v1s? I keep telling people he's good, but is that true?
Yeah, no, he's like king of the 1v. He's king of PvE.
He's a fucking god.
Okay.
And he's king of 1v1s and has been since Succession came out.
All right, so I'm good. I haven't been lying to people then. All right, just making sure.
He's been number one before the Awaken. Before the Awaken buffs came out, he was still fucking super top tier.
And only one
Striker's never been in a bad place, and like people are just so weird about Striker. The only time he was even slightly undertuned is when he first launched, and like 2 weeks later he was buffed, and he's been broken ever since.
Everybody complains about how easy Striker is. Oh, it's so easy. You just leg drop, all that kind of stuff. And they've made the kit substantially easier. But the difference between like a brain dead Striker and like how the fuck did I just get comboed Striker is understanding the pre-awakening kit, which is now easier since Succession is such a big thing. But yeah, it's number one PvE and it's number 2 at the very least 1v1, if not number 1.
So when you say Succession's obviously number 1 in PvE, when you say PvP, like for the 1v1s, are you talking about Awakening or Succession?
Awakening. Succession's really kind of trolly because the iframes, they've got like 3 really long iframes. I know Awaken Long is number 1. I know. Calm down. But the really long iframes, it's actually like a really fun RBF class because when you get like slow stacked, you've got those couple of iframes in Succession Striker that you still get good distance on, and you're just invincible for like 5 seconds, 6 seconds. It's so annoying. You just like pull off of them, and they chain together pretty well. So Striker has always been in a good place, and it continues to get buffed. So it's in the best spot it's literally ever been in both Succession and Awakening. Now, if you're going to Node War, it's always been like this fringe kind of class that fights off to the side and skirmishing, but it's still really strong.
It's godly in T1s. It's absolutely insanely strong in T1s.
Yeah,
you just really have to jive with that.
Have like insane accuracy rate, and you just do the 100%
Yeah,
and melt
their
people.
their scaling is just broken at capped AP levels. They
Their
hit
lower AP
way
is
harder
really
than any
good.
other class.
But then the new meta is going to be like super, super high DP strikers. It's not even really new. You don't need much AP at all to really combo, even like a really well geared any other class. So you could just roll around with like 400 DP, 261 AP, and just absolutely destroy an Awakened Striker.
That really is something they need to fix. They need to fix it where your pets scale with your accuracy and AP at the very least. Striker clones, Mystic Dragons, Tamer, Helliang, all that stuff, Witch and Wizard stuff.
Yeah, we've talked about that on a bunch of different episodes where they need to rework it and have it scale with the gear that you have.
Because what's the point of an AP cap if it doesn't apply to your stupid clones?
What a great question.
Like, it just forces everybody to play Striker then. or a Tamer, maybe. I don't know. Maybe Tamer does as well, too.
My Lava scales with my AP. Why doesn't Striker clones?
So I'm not sure if you talked about the Ranger class buffs, but I'd like to go over it a little, if that's okay.
You're the captain.
Okay. Well, they buffed Ranger Awakening, Musa Awakening, Musa Succession, Tamer Succession, Awakening Kuno, Succession Mystic, Awakening Dark Knight, and Succession Dark Knight. Which one of them stuck out to you the most as like a big change that really changed?
Was this from last week?
This is from April 7th. So you might have talked about this with Kerr, possibly.
Yeah, shit, that was a while ago. I'm trying to remember.
Well, they
probably
buffed
Musa and Kuno.
Kuno got a buff across the board by 5%. Awakening Musa got roughly a buff across the board to his main abilities by about 20%. And Awakening Ranger got 25%.
Yeah, those Awakened Musa. That Awakened Musa change looks really substantial. I was actually pretty tempted to try it out, but I just wish there was a way to like do a temporary tag or something. Because spending 3 bill every time I want to like try a new class at a high-end grind spot kind of blows. I wish they would let us do like a 24-hour tag or a 7-day tag or something for cheaper.
You
really wish that?
I do, yeah.
One of the cool combos now is below the belt into Dash Slash, which has always been a combo, but now it actually does good damage because they buffed Dash Slash, and it does about half the damage of Crust Crusher into Foul Play, and same thing for the crosscut into its flow into, I think it's Exploitation, or I think is what its ability is called. But that combo does about 50% also, which is about half the damage of the Crust Crusher into Foul Play. So it has Crust Crusher into Foul Play is obviously its most damaging ability, and all the other 2 combos do about 50% of that damage, which is actually pretty nice. The only thing that I thought was a little strange about it was the crosscut damage still feels really low. They didn't buff it, so that feels really low in PvE still.
Crosscut's the best class in the game. You watch your mouth, or best skill, I mean.
I mean, it's definitely very fun, but I wish it had more DPS.
I'm actually with you on this one. I think that they should make Crosscut the only skill that Musa has to use in PvE. We were talking about this before with Rising Storm, how like they were like, oh, we made it so that Succession Musa can use skills other than Rising Storm, and it's like, no, wrong. One button spammed over and over. Like, come on, do you guys
really
actually
feel
play
that
Musa?
way, you should try out Succession Maywa. You'd really enjoy that.
What ability do you spam on Succession Maywa? Pedal Drill or something?
Decap.
Oh, is that the one that like throws your character backwards?
It's the ult. It's the slash forward that takes like 2 years.
Oh.
So you lock the BSR, and like the mechanic of it is you build up like these stacks, and then you spam decap, and it does like 500% more damage than it would if you didn't have those stacks. And you just maintain those stacks, and you just keep hitting decap on everything, and everything just gets disintegrated. It's actually super fucking good at trees, believe it or not. So,
I think the class right now, I think Musa is really, really close to being a good pick again. Like he still needs some love, but I think he's really good. He's getting close to being a good pick again. for like PvE.
What are we
is.
basing that? Has anyone actually tried Musa substantially at a high end spot since those buffs? Because I would love to actually see some numbers since he got buffed. I have a feeling he's in a really good spot, and no one's just noticed it because no one wants to play him.
I tested
Smash,
him.
what's it per hour?
I tested him at Mirmok, and his damage on Crest Crusher to foul play is like the same as Sage's shift form. It is really, really, really good. The problem is when those are on cooldown, your rest of your abilities feel still a little weak. So your field damage while you're waiting for that ability to come back up feels a little low. But I don't know how it does overall in PvE, like as far as performance goes. I think
the Sage grab might get nerfed, dude. I'm doing some things I shouldn't be allowed to do out here.
They want to sell them copies, sell them costumes. People tap them black stars, get some crown stones. I think Ranger Awakening also is probably a top. I think she's sleeper OP now. I think she's sleeper OP. I don't think she's as like, striker levels or anything like that. But I think she's on par with Sorceress now. Is my
Who is?
So?
What class?
Ranger Awakening. I think a good Ranger Awakening, someone who knows how to play it properly, I think it's on par with Sorceress now. I don't know how to play it at that type of level, but I think anybody who does can really push some crazy numbers now.
We should. You're friends with Anfield, right, Moreland? We should get him on here to talk about that.
Does he play Awakened Ranger?
I bet he does now. I mean, he did for years. I'm sure he's. I mean, if you guys don't know, Anfield said some spicy remarks on stream. It's an inside joke.
You're ruining my delivery.
I mean, you're welcome to go in depth about it. All right.
No, I actually do think that a well-played Awakened Ranger is probably the sickest thing to watch in all of BDO.
In PvP or PvE?
Really?
I just don't think anyone does it anymore.
Whenever I see one in PvP, I wait for them to do their little loop-de-loop twice, and then I hit Shift F and they die. What's so amazing about that?
I think that
Awakened Ranger, at least in 1v1, is like fucking impossible if the player is actually good. You just never see one who plays it to its full extent.
Mm-hmm. I was saying more on the PvE side of things, but I do agree with the PvP being gnarly. There's like,
yeah, I have no idea how it is in PvE. I just assume they all play suck.
Yeah. The Succession, I despise the Succession so much. I just don't enjoy it. You just stand still and then press abilities while you're standing still. This has no mobility.
Dude, it's so good in Node War and Siege. It's so good.
What,
Windows
current? What do you use?
Windows XP. Windows XP was lit. Is to me stands out. He's played Siege and T1s, and he never actually top frags, but his KDA is always the best. He's always doing like the most asset damage, the most DPS out there, and he dies the least. It's absolutely insane. And
yeah,
so
like
he's
hardly
really
ever dies. He's always like 40-2.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so if you can deal with that like immobility, if you really understand your place as a Succession Ranger like he does, it's invaluable. And it's actually a really big KR meta to have a bunch of Succession Rangers on walls and stuff. They've been doing that forever.
I'm always surprised that hasn't been a bigger part of the NA meta. Like range damage of any kinds is always busted in large scale fights. I'm really surprised that we don't see more archers and Suck Rangers and shit. It like started to be the meta when Suck Ranger first came out. I remember they were all over Node War, and then people just like went back to playing Wizards. So
it just isn't fun, right? You can't be like the hard carry that has the montage or whatever.
Yeah.
The egos in this game is insane. I mean, that's what it really comes down to.
Wait, speaking of egos, I heard Aftershocks being started back up. Is this true?
No, but somebody asked me.
Always true.
It's always true. Yeah. Yeah. Who said that?
I don't know. I've hearing rumors in the wind.
Tim, you know that Sage has a skill called Aftershock,
I
right?
do. I tried to point that out to
Does
my
that make
friend
you wanna
Potion
play
Shop
him?
when he was streaming. No, so Pearl Abyss. This is Pearl Abyss's feeble attempt to try to get me into the partner program. They want me back in so bad that they named one of the skills off their newest classes in one of the most anticipated releases after the obvious Aftershock Overlords. 5 out of 5 crowns. I've beaten the game. There's no reason for me to come back. Please stop begging. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up.
Man, that's actually quite remarkable. I don't think they've ever done anything like that for me. I think they put Shia Ya in game, and I think that was about it. That was about all I got.
If I worked for Pearl Abyss, I'd fucking hate you more than me.
Why? Because I make so much drama.
Because of all the partner Discord leaking you do.
I don't ever leak anything.
Yeah, it's honestly crazy how often you violate the NDA. I'm surprised that you haven't been sued yet.
Whoa,
out of control.
I am
It's
not
out
even a
of control.
partner. I didn't sign up to
know.
be a partner in Pearl Abyss because of that NDA.
Can we name this the Not Partner
Wait, wait.
podcast featuring Moreland TV?
But yeah, I seriously am not even a partner. I didn't sign up for it. I didn't want to sign the NDA.
I don't
know,
even
we
know the
remember you
words to
telling us that.
describe you. I don't even know how to describe you to people. I really don't.
Me?
Yeah.
I play video games for a living. I don't know. I make tier
can
lists for a
actually-
living.
Did you can actually go over obstacles with this class when you press Shift Q? You don't just get like stuck on the Z-axis. It's fucking insane, man.
I don't believe you.
Well, you're actually like flying in
I just
air.
jumped over the stick at Blood Wolves.
I need
Wait,
to
can
see
you
the
jump
VOD.
over walls in like Node Wars with that?
Probably not walls. It doesn't jump that high.
No, I mean the little tier,
Maybe a barricade though.
Yeah,
you might be able to jump
that's
over
what I meant,
barricades.
I forgot what they're called.
We'll see. I'm probably gonna play him tonight in Node War, so we'll try it out.
That'll be worth watching. Oh, that's
Barricades are another monster though. Barricades are like completely different than a rock or something because structures in this game have these weird phantom hitboxes that vacuum you and desync you. So we'll see how that goes.
Let me see if there's any other classes here that we wanted to mention. I have no idea where Succession Mystic is or Succession Tamer. Like, obviously, Succession Tamer is not good, but they buffed it, and since they buffed it, I don't know where it stands at all. Like, literally at all. Do you guys have any idea?
Yeah, no
where...
one knows. No, I asked my chat the same thing when we were going over that patch, and people were like, "What's a tamer?" Ask her. That's pretty much what everyone said. I don't know. Ask her.
Has Kerr officially like
Yep.
rerolled to another class and complete now?
He's been playing Suck Lawn a lot lately.
Smart. I've been really hesitant. People keep telling me it's strong, move it up on the tier list, and I'm like, but it might get nerfed. I don't want to move it up. So I've been procrastinating. I think Succession Lawn was probably the best kept secret for like PvE strong classes.
Yeah, if you lived under a rock.
What are you talking about? Nobody knew about that shit. I mean, maybe they did. I don't know. I didn't know about it.
You kind of live under a rock.
I thought it was just like an average class, a little worse than Sork, but that is not true, obviously. What?
Can we talk about something else?
Sure. They had the 100% Life EXP event, where you could level up to Artisan 1. Did you guys take advantage of that at all?
Yeah, I got Artisan 1 on most of my Guardian stuff. I couldn't do trading though because tagged.
I should have done horse training is what I should have done. I didn't think of that. Because you can use...
Yeah, but the Koi Boy thing was going on. So like horse training while Kois are going
Yeah,
on.
that was the problem. I wanted to do horse training as well. I've been so close to master horse training for like the last 2 months, and they just keep popping out new events, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
I ended up doing AFK processing because it was pretty easy. And so I just did AFK processing to get Artisan 1 processing on a couple of my characters.
Well, the 100% is fine, but if you have Flax, if you run the Flax node for like a month, you can hold it in your inventory and just grind it, then heat it if you need to. If you don't have a ton of Flax, and it's not very heavy, and that's probably I think that's the best processing EXP in the game.
It used to be. However,
it's just chopping timber now better because of the double
yes,
XP.
because it is literally bugged.
But
Wait,
you
it's bugged?
can hold. Yeah, it's bugged. You can hold a ton of flax in your inventory.
True. Yeah, you can AFK the flax for much longer.
So you don't need to have a processing outfit and stuff, and you can still get to like artisan something straight away off of one stack. So if you want to do that without having to like check it every couple of minutes or whatever, just run the flax node in Heidel for a little while.
Yeah, I guess that's
Or
why
just buy some. It's super cheap. It's like min priced, I think.
Can you please stop flexing that you know a female in front of us?
What all she does is just bring me refills while I'm in the middle of the podcast. It's not that big of a deal.
Whoa!
She's been working so hard this entire time. She's been going back and forth and left and right. I saw her pick up a cup. Put respect on that woman.
Yeah. She cleans up after me, cooks me food. What?
Hi, Pixie.
The reason
We
I was
can't hear
doing
you.
the
Say it again.
life EXP is I'm trying to get
I
my
hope you're feeling
life
better.
Thank you, Pixie. I am. Thank you. I'm talking to a female potion. Shut up.
excuse me, my bad.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
She keeps talking to the microphone when I don't have push to talk pressed down. So
Wow, you're so funny. So full of personality.
The
thanks.
I've been pushing the life fame is what I was trying to get the processing up, and I think I'm probably going to take that flax idea and just keep on doing that. Get all my characters up to like artisan for the free life fame.
Yeah, it's really easy, and not a lot of people run it, so you collect it, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's actually 2 flex nodes, but just, if you're a real BDO gamer, you don't have that kind
I
of
think
CP
I already
laying
have
around.
one of them for the wheat that's there, which is probably bad, like CP wise, but I guess I don't care.
No, the wheat is actually pretty good CP wise. The flax is kind of meh.
If you already have the wheat, the flax isn't worth it though.
I mean, if you're gonna process
one
it, I guess
CP.
it's okay. But none of the nodes are that exciting anymore. But yeah, I mean, wheat sells pretty well. Flax kind of doesn't sell at all. So you have to be processing it if you want the node to be worthwhile.
I turned it off years ago, and I have enough left over for the life fame stuff, so I just roll that every once in a while. I think I've got 60,000 left or something.
For people who don't know, I'm trying to get life fame at least for the extra VT you get in the marketplace. For people who aren't aware of that, so you can
So
get
crazy.
it's 2,000 VT. It's really nice. So I'm getting close. I'm currently at 9,525 for my family fame. So I only need to get 400 and some change.
So the timber has been bugged for well over a year. You get double EXP basically because of the plywood procs. So when you get a plywood proc, it counts as like doing it twice or something to that effect.
With mass processing only, or just what? Or is it with regular processing also?
I'd assume it's with regular as well.
Hmm.
I don't know who would be regular processing in 2021 though.
So how long does a bug stay in the game until it's no longer a bug and it's just an additional feature at that point?
Until I get to Guru 50, hopefully.
Because, like, I mean, maybe it's not in the spirit of the game, right? We could all get banned for this processing some logs.
That's okay. I'll just join Snake.
Global Lab had some cool updates. I think the big one that everybody's talking about right now is there's a new Nover costume. How do you say it? Anyway, they have a new costume that's coming out for Nuver. And it's going to be something that you have to go to the world boss to collect items, and you can also have to buy items to create it. I think it's something around like, I heard someone throwing around a number like it's like 30 billion to craft it, along with doing a whole bunch of Nuvers. What do you guys think about them doing another one of these costumes like the lung costume?
People love their costumes.
Yeah, I think it's good to have other like high-end non-pearl costumes for people to work towards. This one seems, I don't know. I don't personally really see the appeal of it. It kind of just looks like ugly Black Star with kind of a cool helmet. I think they did a much better job with Laura Zeka, but maybe that's just me.
You get a title with that too, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's the trifecta right there. Even though
If it's
only
a
two.
colored title, that would be worth it. Like make it like a fiery orange or something like that.
Is the partner title colored?
I don't know.
We get a title?
Oh, was that only Xbox? You get
Well,
a title, don't you?
I don't know.
I think there's you get 3 titles. You get one that's
We
like
get a title on Xbox?
Xbox got a colored title, yeah.
I think you get 3. You get one title for like
What?
being online, and you get one for being offline, and you get one for just being a partner. I think you get 3 titles total for it.
What?
So like you can basically have a title, and it'll let people know that you're online. It'll be like green or something, and like let people know that you're online or like live
Oh,
streaming.
like live?
Yeah. And I think it's just up to you to manually change it. I don't think it happens automatically.
Is this
Oh, I
a
see what
poster
you're
shop
saying.
idea?
No, I think that's what they're doing.
What?
I mean,
Really?
I guess we
I
can
don't
look,
have any recollection of that whatsoever.
we can look into titles right now and see if there's one in there for it. It should be near the bottom somewhere. Let's see.
Yeah, that's where they belong. Fuck partners.
Oh, bro, they have a King of the Sea and Born of the Sea, Legend of the Sea. Those are actually pretty good titles. How do you get those?
Yeah, you like water?
Some of these titles are actually like really cool. They have one in here called GM Acquaintance, GM Friend, Event Lover, Event Maniac, Meta GM. There's one in here called Hall of Famer. Maybe they're gonna have a Hall of Fame they're gonna add. That sounds kind of cool.
Hall of Fame title is for wasn't that for winning Siege in a specific week?
Oh, where they had the event for it or something?
Yeah, it was like 3 weeks.
Yeah, you had to win at like right before the server transfers, right?
Oh.
No, that was King of Calpheon. That was King of the Territories.
Wait, what was Hall of Famer? I remember there was some salt because we got that title, and then other guilds were mad that we
We
had
did
it.
not get it. I don't we were the
remember.
ones salty because I didn't have enough political capital to grab the title, but I traded it in for us to be on Castle for 2 weeks.
So the titles I found in here are Streamer and Popular Streamer and On Air. I don't see any of the other ones in
There's
here.
a popular streamer title.
Yeah, so I wonder how many you have
How much would you have to hate yourself to have that be your title?
to get. I would probably do it when they had some big Prohibitus event. Just be like, look, I'm a popular streamer.
Tell us you can't break 10 concurrent viewers without saying it. That title.
Yo, I wonder. They have all these class titles in here for the Arena of Arsha. I forgot about that. I don't see anything else in here. It must be the on-air titles, the one I was thinking of.
Can we move on to something relevant, please?
Yeah. Of course.
I actually really like it when you get distracted. You get distracted on some weird shit, dude.
Titles. The
What was
Nuver costume gives you a title if you get it, apparently. And it's about 30 billion to craft. It looks really cool. The costume itself looks incredible, in my opinion.
Well, Moreland just said it looked like ugly Black Star. So which one is it?
Well, I mean, it's personal preference, right? Some people will think it's awesome. Some people think it's garbage.
No, it's ugly. The helmet's the only cool piece. Objectively speaking.
Aesthetics is a study. It's a biological thing. It's not objective. It's not subjective at all. It's objective. It's objectively ugly.
Correct.
I think that I will say that I think they did a better job with the male version than the female version.
Oh, here we go. Oh my god, dude.
But they didn't make the mistake of making a boob opening for the Nuver costume like they did for the.
No, that was a
like
real problem with Laur Zeka. The female version was so much uglier than the male version.
It really was.
Didn't they rework it?
They did, yeah. They allowed you to wear the male one on females.
There's two versions, right, for female. You can
was that bad.
choose. You can choose which one you want for the female. You can choose either one. You can choose the cosplay version or the real.
Yeah, you can choose the boob or not.
That's kind of interesting.
I do think this one, it looks like what they did is they just took the male version and they shrunk it down to fit the female structure, right? And it feels like all they really did to it. It doesn't feel like they did any customizations to make it where it looks more feminine in any way.
They shrunk it down to fit on my Guardian. That's gonna be fucking wild.
Well, they might have increased the size to fit on Guardian. She's a big girl.
Take it back.
She's definitely strong, right? I want to fuck with her.
There you go. That's better.
You
You got bit.
The guild node. They actually added a really cool function here. This is a guild node policy setting. to Global Lab. And I don't know if you guys have read through this. I don't think I'm a high enough IQ to perfectly understand this, to be honest. But it seems like to me that if you own a node, you'll be able to buy influence points for it. Like, so you could get like EXP bonus for the grind spots in the territory node that you control. So let's say you got Sausins, you could choose between loot bonus
God
or
damn
EXP
it!
bonus, or or like whatever. There's like several different options, and you can choose to level it up. And so the example that they gave, I don't think this is very huge right now. They give an example of like you could invest into Aukman node and have level 1 Aukman node and get 1% drop rate bonus, which is very insignificant. So hopefully they increase that. Or if you could level it up to level 8 and you get 8% drop rate bonus increase. And I think the idea behind this is what's important, not necessarily the balance of this, because the balance does not seem right with their example at all, because who cares about 8% drop rate? But I do think it's really cool that you're, as a guild and you control a node, you can choose what you want to invest in. And I think everybody in the area gets to vote on the nearby grind spots.
I'm sorry. So for those people who have grinded Hadoom before and understand like how much money is attached to drop rate in the Hadoom, grind spots, it's actually, take all the drop rate you could possibly get. And then if you consider the comma blessing, the ecology buff, the OTP or whatever that is, and all that stuff, all the stuff adds up and makes the higher end grind spots way better. And then what if that 8% got you a disto earring drop? This stuff adds up. It matters. And it makes weird places, now that we have Hadoom, it makes weird places matter more too. I really like this. It's not game breaking, but it's something. It's not a territory, but it's something. And it gives incentive to like go back and win that node and have big fights on these nodes. Like the T1 Friday night fight night happens on 2 different nodes. What if we shift it to a different night because you could win on this node and it's got a good drop rate for this place? It's interesting. It's enough to matter, but not enough to break something.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of curious how what kind of choices people are going to be given, right? What are different, like they said here, one of the examples would be like increase horse EXP, increase life experience value from the monsters in the area, increase combat EXP. So I think there could be life skilling guilds that could go out and be like, hey, we want to capture the Caltheon node near Deer and give it more life EXP or something, or gather, for maybe gathering wild herbs.
So it's actually nodes. It's not just like siege.
It says occupation war and base war. So I think this is just general nodes, and if you own a node, you get a vote.
That's great.
So I think this is going to be really cool because you could own 10 nodes potentially in the area and then vote to buff one particular feature, or someone else could come in and say, we don't like that, we want to do something different, we want to do life skill stuff instead because they have a life skill event going on, and like there could be like the events can actually encourage people to play Node Wars differently. I definitely think it allows players a lot of a lot of choice in how they want to influence the game. I think it's really cool.
I wonder if those choices are actually meaningful. I feel like everyone's just going to pick drop rate on every single node.
Well, I think the difference here would be like life EXP. Like say they had 100% life percent EXP going on, and then you're like, well, let's go ahead and make everything life EXP, and someone else wants to do combat EXP. Then you have tension between two different people.
Just no way any serious guild would choose either life XP or combat XP over drop rate. Unless the numbers are like really low. If it's like 1% drop rate, maybe, but I guess we'll see like how the numbers stack up.
Yeah, I think the idea behind it's really cool, and I think the idea is maybe even increase this even further. Take this, like expand this into more and more topics. Like maybe horses in your area get to have 20% bonus movement speed for every tier you have, and your horses can just go at lightning speed. Like I don't know, there's like some really interesting things you could do. Or maybe increase the trade profitability or AFK fishing, double the amount of AFK fishing value for your guild or people who AFK fish in your region. I don't know. I think there's some cool things they could try with that.
Hopefully none of those things.
I mean, can you imagine if all the guilds got together in Caltheon and make Caltheon basically koi fishing? Like you could technically make that happen if everybody wanted to, if you made an alliance to control a region potentially. I think that'd be a really cool potential.
I think there's a lot of potential. I don't think that the devs will actually let us do cool stuff like that, but it's a good start. Maybe if this feature is well received, they'll put something besides drop rate in there.
This is
Yeah.
global patch notes, right?
Yeah,
Is
right.
this supposed to be tied with the new Node War system, or is this supposed to be like just current version of the game?
I would assume it's with the new NodeWare system is my guess, but I'm not sure. Like I don't know.
I really wish I knew what was going on with the whole Node War rework.
If only you didn't have an NDA, you could tell us.
Well, you see.
This is why we need you, Potion Shop.
Well, we already know that they decided they did a test in Korea, and they said they had 8,000 participants, which seems like a lot. And so with that many participants, they've put it back into like working on it a second time on Global Lab, and we've seen a lot of changes to like little small things here and there to node wars, like the rewards got reworked a little bit, like the way structure of nodes is working, like there's no starting locations that are getting changed and stuff. So I
Yeah.
do think it's like a work in progress, and I would rather them take more time and invest more into making the product actually finished long term. I do
Yeah.
think that they kind of announced it too early because you got everybody hyped up, and it's going to be like 2 years before it comes out, which I'm fine to wait that long, but I think they could have handled the marketing of it a little better. Because people
I
thought-
don't know if I'd be playing T1s right now if I didn't know that this whole system was going to change. Like knowing that because it's been years of needing like some pretty massive overhauls.
Yeah.
And so having the information that they're actively working on it, there's been, live tests and all that kind of stuff gives me more hope than if it was just another year of not hearing anything from them. So
Yeah, I think the announcement of the rework is a big reason why T1 started picking up again in the first place, because a lot of people came back and wanted to start warring and getting ready. But then it seems like the rework just keeps getting pushed back further and further and further.
Yeah, that seems fair. That seems very fair. I guess, I mean, I don't really do a whole lot of nowhere, so my opinion on this doesn't really carry much weight, right?
it's the last node war you did in Aftershock.
Probably. I'm
Me?
not even in a guild right now.
Wow.
I need to transfer my guild over from the old servers before they delete my account, so I can join my own guild. Speaking of guild stuff, they are making it where you can upgrade the flame tower into a new flame tower. It seems like the animations on it look pretty cool. The camera has like some weird distortion to it, which I hope they fix. But it looks like they're doing another pass over the flame tower. We'll have to see if it CCs you or not CCing you. I think the CC on the flame tower is really annoying. So hopefully they...
It always distorts your camera so you can see a little wider when you're in a flame tower.
Well, the distortion that they have on this new flame tower is it makes your camera go like fuzzy. It's like sort of like it shook you
Like
really
an
hard, and you're like,
aperture.
"Ugh." And you, like your
okay.
vision kind of blurs a little bit. It's a little strange, and maybe it's because they're
High
playing
intensity.
remastered. Maybe that's play they
Okay.
remastered and have effects on. I don't know. Anyway, they have a new flame tower coming out. We'll have to see if that ends up being a good thing or a bad thing.
Is there no other information on the flame tower? It just says there's a new one coming out.
They, I think they mentioned, like, they showed some images of it and the animation of it through a GIF. Let me see if there's anything else in here about it.
Because that's a pretty substantial thing.
After 4 normal attacks, press F to refill the gauge and focus flame emissions. If you fill gauge to the end, you have to have a type of fuel for it.
So
You cannot use flame tower for about 5 seconds after using the concentrated flame emission technology. So if you use a special ability on it, then you can't use it for a couple seconds.
So they're buffing flame towers to have some like super flame tower shot.
I think
You know how
I guess the
overpowered flame
idea-
towers are?
I mean, I think the idea is like, right now, Flame Tower is the most miserable, boring role that you have in a siege. Maybe they're trying to spice it up a little bit. I don't know. What do you guys think about just making the Flame Towers automatic, like not needing anyone to be in them?
I think it's I enjoy the couple times I've jumped in there. I don't know if I'd want to be in one every single time, but like when somebody runs out for ammo or something and I jump in, get a couple of kills, push the whole force back. I think it's way more annoying to push into a flame tower than it is to be inside of a flame tower.
We struggle to get people in the Flame Towers, and no, we have to like raffle it off every week. It's like
Right, but we've
dreaded.
got a bunch of high-end players that want to go out and frag and work together, not necessarily sit in a flame tower. I could
Who
see how
does
I'd
want
see
to
one.
sit in a flame tower though? I mean, I guess if your base is getting pushed constantly, it's kind of interesting. But just having to like be back and sitting in the flame tower while offense goes out, I don't know. It's just
I never had a
kinda
problem
weird.
finding people for flame towers in a guild for aftershock and stuff ever.
I think a really like if you had like
Really?
I
Okay.
think maybe the thing is right now is it's not active enough to be exciting because BDO is like a really action-packed game, and in Flame Tower it goes from super action-packed to being really boring. And so
But that's a problem with defense in general. So that's why you need defense in their own comms, and you need to have somebody who's kind of fun in defense, so you can kind of bullshit with each other. Because defense is boring until it's not. Is kind of the phrase I always use for defense.
Mhm.
Is you have to stay frosty, you have to stay ready, but you also need to be able to like kind of bullshit and cut up together, and then turn that off, focus up, and be able to communicate well. So it's actually a really specific skill set for defense, and you need to set a really entertaining culture. But so I think it's the boring part is sitting at defense when nobody's there, not necessarily being inside or outside of a flame tower. You're kind of suffering the same thing if you're outside of flame tower, in my opinion.
I think do you think it's something that Prolibus can address by just making the gameplay
It's
loops
not a problem.
better?
No, it's not a Prolibus problem. It's a personnel issue. It's a prioritizing issue. It's a inner guild issue. Some people do it really well. Some people completely ignore it, and you reap what you sow.
I guess that's fair. We'll have to see what this flame tower is when it comes out. Hopefully, it doesn't have a CC on it. It's just a damage, or like maybe like a way to kind of like space out the enemies so they're farther away. It'd be kind of nice. They made it where you can also rename workers, so that's kind of cool. So if you have a really really cool worker, you can be like, this is my I don't know, silver embroidered worker. This is my trade crate worker.
Junior Silvers.
Like you can kind of nickname them and like actually know which ones you don't want to get rid of on accident.
That's actually a POG update. If it was 2017 still, I wish they would like update nodes in a more meaningful way, but this is a nice quality of life.
Double the output.
Yeah, or in like master workers. There's a lot of interesting things they could do with the worker system. That's another one of those systems that, like, again, they just put so much work into and then just neglected for years. It hurts me.
They keep pushing the per hour on grinding, and then there just nothing else gets updated with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge problem, right? Because it increased the income of like everything else in the game, and it is never like they can't keep up with their own like processes at that point with like life skilling or economy or nodes or fishing or whatever it may be.
They should at least let us put 2 workers on one node.
I totally agree. Yeah.
At the very minimum, yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to see something where maybe because I think if they just double the output of nodes, then I think the problem becomes like if you're thinking of it seriously, like if you just buff nodes and make them where they drop more stuff, then all you're going to do is supply increases and price decreases, or things just flood on the marketplace. So I'd like to see something where you can trade off like investing more CP into a node to increase the things that you actually want. So let's say you're trying to do something in the game in particular, then you can focus a lot of CP in there and maybe pull like quadruple the amount of resources. And I think that'd be a really cool way of not necessarily ruining the economy, but allowing people to focus on what they want to do.
4 workers on one node.
I mean, I think that'd be a completely fair thing to do. If there's like something that the economy heavily needs, why not allow people to like put as many workers on there? Like, let's say you want to do cooking, and like you just need a whole bunch of veggies. Like, go and put like 5 workers on pumpkin nodes. You know, I think that'd be. They need to do something with it where it doesn't ruin the economy, but also increases the value. And I think that's a hard thing to do without like completely reworking the entire thing. And maybe that's what it needs. Maybe it just needs to be from the ground up. This needs to be reworked. I don't know.
Yeah, big time.
Yep.
Seasons. Do seasons in BDO. Every 4 months it changes, so you never know what's going on.
Yeah, you know exactly what's going on. You're redoing the.
I'll make
the
a
Wednesday quest.
node tier list. I'll be in business.
Oh.
They did another thing for Guild Wars, which is pretty cool. Guild Wars now have a fee if it's not a mutual guild war. So there's the initial fee is being increased to 1 million silver, which is basically nothing. And then the maintenance fee is going to be 1 million silver, and then every additional day that it's not a mutual node war, the fee will be 0.5% of your bank. And so that
How is that cool?
that goes up by 0.5% every single day. So if it's a mutual war, like let's say Cho Nation and Black Rose have a mutual war on each other, then there's no cost because it's a mutual war. But
How is this a cool thing?
this is a good thing for casual guilds, not hardcore guilds.
Wow, bro, you have the hottest takes.
Because what this prevents is it prevents like Black Rose decking some baby guild that they didn't like, and then because they would have to forfeit a lot of their bank if the other guild doesn't mutually do it. So you basically get 24 hours and not having to worry about it.
I know you like to be a contrarian, but this is probably the most shocking take you've ever had. I cannot believe you would be in favor of this.
Yeah, I think it
Why don't we
offers
just do PvE servers? We should just do PvE servers at this point.
I think it builds a nice barrier between casual guilds and hardcore guilds, where if you're going to do it, you have to be somewhat committed as a guild to hold that guild re-guild up.
Maybe people
Okay.
just don't want to be abused by this game's broken karma system, homie. Like,
whoa, there we go.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you can still deck for 1 million silver, literally nothing, and you can farm a person all day
for
long.
For free, you can just grind on top of somebody and karma bomb them for hours, and there's no recourse except for Guild Wars, which they're now nerfing.
I think that's a separate issue. I think that's a separate
It's
issue.
literally this. What do you mean it's a separate issue?
I think when you're looking at guild v guild, you need to judge it versus guild. I don't think the karma system being a failure should justify us not changing.
That's
Guild
why
Wars
Guild
into better.
Wars. That's why one-sided Guild Wars exist, though, to deal with karma bombers. That's the only reason why one-sided Guild Wars exist. Black Rose isn't
So
out there
now-
just griefing some life skilling guild for the fuck of it, dude. They're using Guild Wars to clear someone out of a spot who is griefing them using the broken karma system. That's the only reason these wars happen.
I
Right.
think that this is a good change for the game. I agree there's other problems that still need to be solved, and this may make the other problems more exacerbated, but I do not think that this by itself, just looking at just it by itself, is a bad idea.
Okay, so there's a guild called Hot Pancakes or something, which is a guild filled with mounted tamers that just fucking destroy you and shit. And
They
so
love
like
me.
you deck these people or whoever, it doesn't even matter. You deck a guild that is a karma bombing shitbag bunch of people. You deck them, they don't deck back. And so now, even if they aren't karma bombing you, they're griefing your guild because you have to fucking. There's nothing good about this. Nothing. This is one of the worst updates that they've ever fucking. Oh, and you can't redeck for 3 days after you drop too. That's in there as well. How does that make you excited for this update, Potion Shop?
I think this is a good safety net for big guilds picking on little guilds, or vice versa. So for the Hot Pancakes guild or whatever, if they decked on a guild, they would just forfeit all of their guild funds over time if they just kept these up all the time. It would prevent them from decking on like 20 different guilds.
Well, you can only have 6.
Well, 6 different guilds.
Yeah,
then.
I mean, I feel like you just. Do you ever do open world PvP in this game?
Yeah, well, I
Even
mean,
a little
I
bit?
literally people love to PvP me because I'm Potion Shop, and there needs no more explanation other than that. Literally, the Hot Pancakes guild literally found me at Poly Forest and then hunted me down for days on end. Like I know what that is.
Would you prefer if they just killed all your mobs and there was
What-
nothing you could do to retaliate?
One thing that I think that they should change along with this is since this changes in the game, I think they should allow any guild to be able to deck on any guild again, because this is a prevention method to prevent people from decking people as much as they want. So I do think that now that they have this, silver to prevent people from decking for infinity, right? Now you can remove the only like node war guilds can deck node war guilds. I think they should make it where any guild can deck any guild now, because you don't need that protection anymore.
That is the only way you could possibly make what's happening worse.
This is. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm
dude.
actually speechless.
I feel like we're playing a different game. This is. So here's what people are gonna do. Before when you decked a guild who was karma bombing you, at least you had the ability to retaliate after 15 minutes and push that person out of your spot. Now, even when the deck goes through, that person continues to win. They continue to grief you because they drain a percentage of your entire guild's fund by continuing to stay there and fuck with you and make your game worse.
You don't lose any percentage on the first 24 hours. So literally for 24 hours, you can continue doing. You can continue fucking them up.
And then what? And then you drop the deck, and then they have 72 hours of clearance where they can continue karma bombing?
The chance that
Listen to him. Listen to what he just said, Potion.
The chance
72 hours.
Yes, it's 72 hours after you drop the deck. So you have 24 hours to farm them. In 90% of the cases, most people are not going to come back for a day 2. They're just not going to. That's not going to happen.
What do you mean, dude? There's guilds that have been griefing each other for months, years.
Well, if they're the same guilds, like Black Rose versus Cho Nation, we'll say, or whatever.
That's not what this is for!
Dude, we're not talking about Black Rose and Cho Nation. We're talking about cunt, neckbeard, katana wielder 420.
Like, I think if they're like, if the chance that the average person is going to grief you for multiple days is low, that's not the normal case.
I don't know what game you're playing.
If you're a streamer, you're in a unique scenario. You're a unique scenario where you have the same people griefing you over and over again.
There's a lot of people who aren't streamers who are backing me up right now, who are thinking the exact same thing.
Like
you are in the smallest minority you have ever been in, which is such a high bar. You are objectively wrong about this, my friend. Objectively wrong.
What part of it?
All of it.
Like
then your suggestion on every guild should be able to deck any other guild was the worst idea you've ever said.
I'm not saying
the
that
worst take you've ever had.
I think there's other things that need to happen to the karma system, but those are completely separate from what should happen to a guild.
Right. So this is we're not even talking about the karma system. Right? We're just talking about this. So if nothing changes with the karma system, your take and then they should do this is the worst additions you could possibly do to this game.
Look, if they want to fix karma system and then rework Guild Wars, sure, but that's not what's happening.
Right.
You gotta look at what the game is actually going to be after this. It's going to be objectively worse.
Yeah.
I don't ever have a problem with this. Like literally ever. Also,
well, that's because you're the one who does the karma bombing.
What? That's not true.
Really? It's not true.
Listen, people that show up to my grind spot
get karma bombed. You're about to phrase a way other than karma bombing that means exactly karma bombing. That's the next
majority of people that show the majority
to formulate it right
the majority of people that show up to my grind spots that are average players, I can kill. The people who show up who are not average players are stream snipers 90% of the time. And at 10% of the time that they're not, if they beat me 2 times, I just go to one of the other 5 rotations in Sakraya or one of the other 3 rotations at Miramok. It's never a problem for me. Like literally,
that's nice.
Literally at Miramok main rotation, there was somebody when I came back when we started doing our podcast day. I didn't even do anything. I just went to another rotation because all the other 3 rotations are open. Sakraya has 5 viable rotations now. If someone bars me on main rotation, it's not worth my time to fight them or car bomb them. I just go to one of the other 4 open rotations where no one ever is.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you've evolved on that. However, there's still a significant portion of the BDO player base who are miserable cunts with way too much free time, and they will follow you around for hours and attack your mobs just to make the game not fun for you.
This is never a problem for me. I'm a streamer, and this is not a problem for
it's a problem for a lot of people, man.
Like, you literally just change channels if it's someone's doing that and they can't follow you. Or you change grind locations.
Changing channels, dude. You kill them repeatedly. That's what you do. You deck on their guild and you fucking own them. Why do I have to change channels because some 14-year-old wants to behave like a 14-year-old?
Because it's a wasting your time. And the smart choice is to do something else that's not wasting your time.
That's my point, Potion.
So change channels. That's how you not waste your time.
Do the smart thing, Merlin.
Do the smart thing and change channels. Don't feed the 14-year-old's chaos toxicity.
I wouldn't have to if changes like this weren't put into place because I could just deck his guild and solve the problem myself. Do you understand what I'm saying?
But now instead of it being a one person versus one person issue, now
I
grief
do
the
have to
entire
change
guild.
channels. Now the
Right.
griefer wins by default,
It's
even more easily than he did before, with the karma system being the way it is.
it's not. I think you're blowing this way out of proportion.
Just let the griefer win, forehead.
You get 24 hours to pick the fight with the dude. 24 hours. You get to farm him for 24 hours. You're not happy with 24 hours of farming? I mean, in if it's not that, like,
No.
look at it. It's 0.5%. Let's say you have literally. Let's say you have what guild funds are normally in a guild nowadays? $1 billion silver? I don't know how much a guild normally have. 4 billion silver? How much silver does a guild normally have in their guild bank? Like
They
guild,
normally have anywhere from 20 to 27 quadrillion silver.
No, that's not true. What do they actually have in their guild bank?
5 to 50 billion.
5 to 50. All right, we'll say 5.
It was a good joke. Let me have that.
Is it? So let's say they have 5 billion in the bank right now, because I think anything higher than that gets crazy taxed, right? Is that the reason I keep 5 billion? And if you look at that, like the amount of money that it is just really, really small. It's not like a big deal. 0.5% is literally 250 million out of
Bro,
5 billion.
if I can take 0.5% of a guild's funds because I'm a cunt, I will do that to as many guilds as
Yeah.
I possibly can.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'll track it too. I will make my own griefing guild. I'll see how many people are decked on me, and I will count up the amount of percent. I'll make it 100%.
You're not going to do it. You're not going to
Bucket
do
is
it.
back, baby.
Aftershock is back. That's what you were hearing.
You're not going to do it.
I'll do it just to make you look like an asshole, a bigger asshole than you're currently looking like.
Okay, you might do it because of that reason. That'd be fair. But you're not going to
I'm
do
petty.
it. You're not going to do it on your own merit. You're going to do it because you're going to spite me.
People are gonna do that, man. I don't know why you think people aren't gonna do that in this game. There's so much history of that kind of shit happening.
Aftershock is recruiting griefing shitbags and neckbeard cunts.
Hey,
DM Potion Shop for invite.
I'm in.
Must leak Potion Shop's channel and send me a clip of you stream sniping them.
I have been toxic for you guys on this topic for like the last 15 minutes, so I think my mission is accomplished. I think I should apply to Aftershock now.
Fuck. This whole VOD, you griefing yourself. You're right. I just got 200 IQ'd. Well, at least I'll get your channel now.
My channel? You don't have to. I told you my channel last time this happened. I'm on Velia fucking 1, all right?
Go get him. Go get him. What are you looking for? Go.
I do think this is a good change, though. I guess our people will not think that. I hope what this means is that they're going to look at other things, like when you kill somebody with karma and you're losing karma, that their respawn timer will increase, and look at other things that are related to this type of topic, right? Because, you know, obviously GVGs are part of the open world PP system, and when you go negative karma, or you're going to go negative karma, to avoid going negative karma, a lot of people will use the guild deck system, for people who don't know, to avoid going negative karma and farming somebody and pushing them off the spot. So this is something that they need. There's multiple pieces that are moving here, and they need to look at a bigger picture that relates to this same topic, and hopefully they'll do that. I don't think this is going to be the end of the world, but time will tell. If this, I mean, this will be recorded and will be on YouTube and all that. So like, we'll time will tell how well these words will age.
If this gets them to look at the karma system, sure, fine, do whatever you want with Guild Wars. But I don't see that happening. I don't see any evidence that they are actually going to take the karma problem seriously. And it's been one of the biggest problems in this game, literally since the first day. And they've just never taken it seriously.
Every time they've changed it, they've made it worse too.
Yeah. I think the reason they're looking at this, unfortunately, is not because of the karma system. I think they're looking at it because they're working on the GVG function for the desert drilling thing. I think that's why they're looking at it. I don't think they're looking at it for the right reasons.
I think it's a bunch of whiny little fucking bitch PvE players who want this game to be something different. It's the same people, the same Redditors that are ruining New World. It doesn't coddle them enough. It makes them upset with their 1 hour free time that they're fucking, that they get off the, it's just these fucking people that just, I had a bad experience, and they all fucking upvote each other, and it's a big fucking circle jerk. Instead of just playing the game for what it is, they want to make it more safe for them. That's all it is, dude. That's all it is.
I mean, I don't even think it's like an anti-PvP thing. I'm fine with people not wanting to PvP or whatever, but there's ways that you can do that don't involve karma bombing. If the game's going to be designed in such a way where there's scarcity, where there's limited grind spots, there has to be some way to resolve that scarcity. And right now, it's either resolved by, there's two possibilities. Either both people have the courtesy to decide, hey, we're going to duel, or hey, I'm done in 15 minutes, you can have it after that. Or the second one is griefing. Those are the only two solutions, if the players are nice to each other or the players grief each other. There's no way you can actually fight over a spot in a way that's meaningful. And that's the problem here. The devs need to decide one way or another, like, how is this scarcity going to be resolved? If they don't want people PvPing, then add 100 more channels. Just get rid of the scarcity, right? Like, even if we're going to solve this problem for PvEers and make the game Care Bear, there's still 1,000 better ways of doing that than this fucking karma system. And it's so obvious. And anyone who actually plays the game knows this. But these devs don't actually play their own game. All they have is the theoretical, well, when people die, they don't like it. When people get killed open world, that's mean. We better have a system that punishes that. It's so fucking out of touch with how the game is actually played. And it's been like this for 5 years. It's just so tilting, dude.
All right. So I just had someone show up because we announced it, and I changed channels, and voila, I have an open rotation again. Problem fixed. My point is proven.
Yep, all you had to do was give up your spot because someone else griefed you. Way to go. You proved your point, homie. Everyone's on your side now.
I think well, I guess there's two sides to looking at this, right? The reason why people have a problem with not being able to fight for their grind spot, and I do agree with you that
if someone grabs your girlfriend's ass, you could just let him. You could just be like, you don't have to get into a fight with the guy.
Well,
right?
I want to address your
just leave, right? Just problem solved. Just
point.
Grab
his
my
girlfriend now.
I want to address your
solved.
point properly, because I think you had made a good point of saying that there's no meaningful way to resolve the issue of a conflict of a grind spot, and there should be one. There should be a resolve of who gets there first gets it, or who is stronger gets to keep the grind spot. There should be some resolution that you can have when fighting for a grind spot, and there's not one, and there needs to be a meaningful way of solving that issue. Now, my point is, since that's not really an option, really even with the guild system, because you still have to wait 15 minutes. There's no guarantee they're going to leave. You could kill them all day long and they still come back all day because there's no penalty for death. The only true solution is to go to another grind spot. And the reason people aren't okay with that is because they are prideful. They say it's a pride thing. They're like, I deserve this grind spot. I should keep it. And that's the core of this issue, and that's why
it's not pride, dude. It's a matter of principle. Like, the griefer shouldn't win because they have a higher tolerance of being a douchebag. Like, that shouldn't be the win condition. That's not a pride thing.
I'm saying why do people? I mean, anyway, that is a fair point. My point is that you can go to another grind spot, and that solves the issue temporarily. I don't think it's the proper solution. I think long-term they should fix the open world PvP. I agree with that. But right now, the easy solution is there's so many grind spots that pull in good income right now. There's Stars Inn, there's Sakraya. Between both those, there's 9 rotations.
Yes, of course you can solve it by leaving. You can solve it by playing a different game. There's a lot of bad solutions to it. That's not the point, though, is it?
I mean, we can be wishful thinking, or we can come up with solutions that work right now for us that don't require us to depend on Pluribus fixing the fucking game. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. As the solution right now is not the best solution, but it's the one that actually works, and it's the only option we have, other than just fighting somebody for, until they get tired, right? And I'm all for them fixing the open world PvP, and I really think they should, because the best
solution we currently have is the Guild War system, which is what started this whole conversation.
It doesn't solve anything, because does it force the person to leave the grind spot? Answer is no. because they just respawn the same they were when you're killing them with karma, and then they come back and continue killing.
Yes, but Potion, you're missing the point. The point is, since once you stop losing karma, that person stops getting the satisfaction of knowing that you're losing karma, so they get bored and leave, and you can actually beat them in that way. Now, even if you stop losing karma, they know that you're losing money. They know your guild is losing funds, so they have a permanent incentive to fuck with you even after the guild war goes through.
You built your stream off of karma bombing barcode, right?
Well, after like 30 viewers, yeah, like 30 to 60 was definitely all barcode. But before and after
that, it was
that,
appropriate to bring that up.
Listen, I accidentally bought 100 tiers instead of 100 artist memories. I'm not claiming to be the brightest bulb in the bunch, all right? I just happened to use them on barcode and it got me 30 viewers, all right? That's all there is to it.
That's quite the legacy.
It really was. It's what got me partnered, really.
That was episode 41 of Nerds and Words. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hello and welcome to part 2 of episode 41 of Nerds and Words. I'll be your host today. Once again, Tim Allen 1337. We had a miscommunication with actually ending the episode, and it didn't actually end, but we'll have 2 episodes for this week. Moreland, how was your last 15 minutes, man?
I'm doing great. I'm really looking forward to discussing this week's patch.
Yes. Potion Shop, how was your last 15 minutes?
I thought we ended the podcast.
I took a huge swig out of a fresh bottle of vodka because I don't actually want to be in my skin. But so let's move on with the structure that we have for the rest of the podcast, which is this week's patch notes. So Potion Shop, if you could please do that.
Well, that was Sage
Who's excited
Awakening.
about the new horse flute?
Oh, that is actually pretty cool. Did it add it to the game this week?
Yeah, it's like $7 to upgrade your current one, or you can do 30 days of daily.
Oh, well, at least there's an option.
I like that there's an option. I agree.
So this new...
I wish there was a way to pay pearls to skip other dailies too.
This new horse flute, like you can summon your horse from anywhere in the game world, right? Is that how that works?
Yeah, it just can't have trade items.
All right, so how do we abuse this?
I don't know.
Dude, that's exactly what I was thinking. There's got to be a way, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe you can... Is there any type of way you can remotely put goods on your horse?
Oh, you're actually thinking about this. Okay.
Like maybe you can whistle your horse and then teleport to Valencia or some shit, and it'll just walk all the way to Valencia.
Moreland and I are BDO partners, and we can't discuss things like this.
I'm trying to think of what you would even need to move over long distances that would matter. Like even if you could use trade crates, it kind of wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Life EXP scrolls from Shakatu to get your processing up on each one of your characters.
Could you use that
instead of running each individual character out there back and forth, you could just whistle your horse from across the world.
Can't you just use the transport function?
Wait, you could use it for the Vil invitation. You could put a Vil invitation on your horse in like Valencia, and then like potentially whistle your horse across the game world or something.
How would you get the horse on the other character though?
So you would be in Valencia, you would have a character dedicated to it, you would basically run out into the desert, teleport yourself to Sandgrain Bazaar, call your horse to Sandgrain Bazaar, and then you can basically just transport your character somewhere, and you'll have it.
But you can already move your horse with the transport function. He comes with you.
I don't know. That's about the only thing I can think of. Is maybe a Vil invitation some way. Maybe some clever way of using that. Or maybe using the archaeologist map somehow.
What else happened on this week's patches?
There's new rare hunting mobs.
Oh, I saw that. That's interesting.
You get titles for hunting them.
Are they? I thought they were only quest based. Aren't they like you just get you do a quest and then once you do the quest you get the title or something? It's not like you can't like hunt lizards for lizard meat or anything, right?
I read it as
I don't
rare
know.
spawns that happen in specific areas, but I don't, I really only did hunting so I could have another icon every once in a while. I don't really like go out. There's not enough of a reward to be like, ooh, can I find these rare mobs?
Yeah, titles isn't enough. I think the idea of having rare hunting spawns out in the world is cool, but they should actually drop like money and goods that are worth something. Just a title is kind of like, okay. I mean, it's nice, but it's not going to get me back into hunting.
Yeah, I was kind of
Right.
hoping it'd be like hunting spots that'd be alternative to the gathering spots, is what I was hoping it would be. And so you could go there with your like.
Yeah, no, they
Cool.
refuse to make hunting a decent alternative to gathering for whatever reason.
I still can't believe like aren't they like planning on releasing a bear hunting spot still? Did that actually ever come out? There's supposed to be a
hunting?
bear and a lion hunting spot that they're planning on adding. Bear was going to be in Belnos and lion was going to be in Valencia. I don't remember. I think they were adding 2 of those.
I feel like I remember when they said they were going to let us milk cows or milk camels rather.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you had to use the climbing life skill to go over the invisible wall to get to the camel to milk it.
We remember all these broken promises for Olibis.
All of them. And especially the direct broken promise that Jaehee gave Moreland that there was going to be improvements to
Black
Black
Yaros.
Yarrow.
I remember these.
They
I
did
do
do
remember
the
that.
Bruce Black Yaros though. They made it where you can turn in Layla's petals
No, they-
or whatever that shit is. Or you can do Black Yaros for the
What?
tier 10 material, right? It's not worth it.
No, it's like a fucking 1 in 1,000 drop rate.
Yeah, but it's an improvement.
You are a contrarian, aren't you? That is your role here, isn't it?
No, I don't know. I do think it's dumb. I think like the Lakiaro minigame is. I guess my main thing is like for Lakiaros, I think it's a cool minigame, but I'd rather it feel like it's actually part of BDO, where you zoom in on the ground and you see like little pods and stuff. You have to like cut them open and stuff. I feel like it doesn't really feel minigames to me feel like they should just be activities in the game that makes sense. Like when you do harpooning, you get like a minigame that pops up on your screen. You have to harpoon fake fish on a minigame. And when you do fishing, you type in like up, down, right, left, or WASD or whatever, right? It's like these minigames don't really feel authentic to the game in any way. They feel like they're detached from the game. Like you could release them on a phone and they work the exact same.
Oh, God, I wish they'd released Lakiar on a phone. Are you kidding me? I'd quit this game in an instant.
I mean,
Minesweeper. You could.
yeah, just release it on phones. I mean, honestly, I think it worked pretty good. It's sort of like the DICE minigames. Like these things, these little minigames, I think, although somewhat enjoyable, are not really the core function of the game. Like when you gather deer meat, you go kill a deer, the deer falls over, and you gather the deer. Like that makes sense to me. When you go and farm monsters, you see a monster moves around, you do your abilities, and you get to loot. And I feel like a lot of these mini games, like the Lakiaros, like although I think it can be very enjoyable for people, I would much rather it be something that is immersive in the game, and not just a mini game that's really a game inside of a game. So I mean I do think that they should go through and like rebalance them and like make all of them viable. Like the fact that fishing and Lakiaros aren't viable in the current meta, I think is ridiculous because it's not hard to change it. All you have to do is turn up the existing numbers, and it works. I mean,
Well, they just needed to make it scale with life skill mastery. They added mastery 2 years ago, and they just didn't make it have any impact on Lakiara. Yeah, there's a lot of easy solutions, but I mean, I feel like we've been over that a bunch of times.
Sure.
I mean, even life skill mastery isn't keeping up with grinding, so.
Yeah.
I guess going back to the failed promises, right? That's I guess where that came from. Do you guys think that what was that? What were they saying they were going to add? Milking of camels? I forget. We were talking about something like that.
Yeah, camel milking.
When's that getting added?
I was promised camel milking.
You know, honestly, on this topic, what tilts me more than anything in this game is when you're milking cows and somebody just walks up and starts milking cows right on top of you. That is the most toxic. Like, I really think the like change channels thing is the worst possible solution to a problem. But like, if you walk up and you see somebody milking cows, just fucking change channels. It's not going to be taken on any other channel. Like, just Why would you milk on top of somebody? It's perfectly made for one person to rotate around, and it only takes 10 minutes.
How long
Those
do
are the worst
the cows go on
people.
cooldown when you milk them?
It's like if you skip one cow, you're sitting there just long enough to milk another cow. I don't know how long specifically it is, but it's literally made to do one rotation. So
You should have to get permission
I'm waiting.
from the milk lady that owns the cows to milk them. And so if someone already got permission, then you won't be able to milk them. So if, like she's like the gatekeeper, then that way they can't grieve.
Yeah, I need
Pretty cool.
instant milking. Exactly, to prevent milking griefing. Or just more milking options like camels.
They did add a milking option to Combo Sylvia, didn't they?
You can't milk in Arsha because they're in safe zones. It doesn't matter if you're on
Wait,
Arsha
it's
milk.
Milk and
PvP?
Arsha.
They count as PvP?
No, it's in safe zones. All the milking
it's in the
spots
safe
are
zone.
currently in safe zones. So hopefully camels are in open world PvP areas.
Oh, because you
So I
want to
can
kill
do
them?
Oasis gear. Well, I mean, I got to fight for my right. If somebody touches my girl's ass, I'm going to, put them down. Not going to change channels.
I think that was an intermission between episodes.
You didn't record that?
No, I don't think that. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I
course you
get that. I think actually one thing I wanted to note on that is I really wish that you could have two sets of gear on your life skilling set and your PvP set, because
They have a bag specifically meant for that. You click one bag and you
Yeah.
swap all your gear
I have a
over. It's
button
been
that
out for
does that
years.
for me.
Marco's gear bag, but your weapon has to be put away when you do it, and it has a delay on it because if you're moving at all, you can't do it.
How
you have
often
to be
do you
staying
need to
still.
do it?
Well, if you're
Every time I eat
if-
on Guardian, it puts my weapon away for me, so it's perfect.
And the thing that's kind of bad about it, in my opinion, is like if someone comes up and they just flag up on you, they just one shot you, and you don't get the chance to even swap gear. I feel like that's like something back in the day you could wear your life skilling gear, which was just a gathering tool back in the day, and you could just go in PvP. You'd already have your weapons and accessories on.
Well, unless you're at Sakraya, then you could just spawn safe zones, spawn your gear, and go back and try again. But if you're in Sakraya, then you have to use a tier.
Yeah, I need more event tiers, by the way. The
Bet you do. I'm 100% sure that you need more tiers. 100% sure.
Yeah, the amount of times I've been having to use tiers recently is dramatically increased since I made my tier list. I don't really know why. I had this guy, and every time I turned on my stream, he would check to see if the bell would happen, and he would be sitting in the grind spot when I swapped over to my Sakraya character. He'd be sitting there like, "Hey there." That's what he did every single day for like probably 3 weeks.
I don't fucking blame him at all.
I mean, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Get your point across, I guess.
It's about sending a message.
So milking camels, do you think this should be part of like the drilling guild activities? You can make it a whole guild activity. You can go out there and PvP over milking camels.
Yeah, that could really be the next evolution of guild versus guild for this in this game. Could be camel defense.
Every time I think this podcast can't get worse, you just knock it out of the park.
I mean, I guess more on a serious note, they have those traveling traders out there, and it'd be cool if you made that kind of like a guild v guild thing.
Pixie just packed a bag and left. Like, she's done with your shit too,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, she's done. Well, what about this like oil desert PvP? Is that? Do we understand how that's supposed to work yet?
There's a platform that you can set up for it. So I don't know a whole lot about it, but there's a platform you set up. You have a worker that's on the platform, and then I guess it's sort of like defense. And like people can try to attack it to try to take resources. So it takes time for the resources to stack up. And then if you get a guild deck go through, like someone can find it, and then guild deck can go through, and you have 15 minutes to kind of like mobilize and get out there and defend it or something like that. I think is sort of the idea that I've seen so far. I'm not really
An open world objective, however it works, I'm super fucking excited for it. Even if it's terrible, it is a step. There's no way they can have nothing and then create something and make it worse than having nothing. So one of our favorite words in this podcast is iterate. So hopefully it'll just be, a stab in the dark at something that this game has literally never had or done outside of, the the gatekeeper thing was almost something like that, but not really. So whatever it is, it's going to be better than nothing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, right now, do you think Tier 1 Node Wars are better or Red Battlefield?
Oh God, definitely not Red Battlefield.
What?
I mean, Red Battlefield is like one of the most popular PvP modes right now, which is sad.
It's the only one. What do you mean? It's one of the most popular.
Well, I mean, you have open world
What else are
PvP.
That's
we
like
gonna
being
do?
an only child and your parents telling you that you're their favorite.
You have the 5v5 arena, which literally no one does. And you have open world PvP, which no one really likes participating in unless they absolutely have to. Then you have Red Battlefield. You have the 1v1 arena. And then you have Node Wars. And so it's either Node Wars or Red Battlefield are the most popular. I don't know which one. And there's Arena of Arsha, which is not popular.
Well, Arena of Arsha is, I would say, fairly popular. Just it has to be done at certain times. Like you don't randomly queue up for it, but I'm sure people would if there was a better way of doing that.
I mean, what do you guys think? What do you guys think is the most popular?
Or if there was like, a
popular PvP
leaderboard with rewards, et cetera, like all the stuff BDO Mobile has for their 3v3 arena. If we had that, then people
yeah, but
would
I'm not saying like
do
what if,
that
like
all day in
what
BDO
is
as
it
well,
like
but
right
we
now?
just don't.
Like, what do you think the most popular PvP mode is right now with what we currently have? Like, what do you think is most fun for people?
Well, I mean, RBF is popular because it's the only thing you can instantly queue up for and actually get action. And I don't know. I don't think it's really that fun. I think it's just there's literally nothing else you can just go and do at the drop of a hat.
I think it's kind of
I'm
sad
sorry,
that
I'm
that's
not-
like the best
not
PvP
responding to
mode,
this.
like the most popular one.
Yeah, it's a huge problem that we've talked about before. It'd be pretty easy to add like queuable 1v1 and 3v3 arenas. Or interesting battlegrounds where you actually have to fight over an objective and have like a 20v20, domination style map. There's a gazillion things they could do to make those arenas 1,000 times more fun.
Mm-hmm. I'm just kind of winging it right now because I don't have anything else in my notes, so that's why I keep going on these little airhead like ideas. So if you guys got topics,
I've got stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
We can
go right
talk
ahead.
about other games. Okay, yeah, please.
Wait, what? Me?
Yeah,
yeah.
you said you had stuff to talk about. Please.
Yeah, so the T1 caps don't work. You know how they're supposed to cap your AP and DP?
Sure.
Yeah, that was actually pretty interesting to look through some of those damage numbers and stuff on like structures and shit.
What are you guys talking about?
Do you have like we're talking about T1 Node Wars and the caps not working specifically on structures?
Yeah, but you said you're right. You saw it was interesting to see some numbers.
No,
like,
they don't work on players either.
Okay, we're getting to it, Potion. We're building it up. We're telling you what happened here.
Okay.
So Noel did a test yesterday with other guilds, I assume, or whatever. And so what I was trying to get at, Moreland, is do you have like a way to kind of package this nicely and what you learned from those tests yesterday?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff we learned about structures. I think one of the things is that monster damage is not as big of a deal as people were making it out to be, but I think they discovered that it does work. It's just maybe not as effective as they thought or something. I haven't specifically looked at the data on structures, but AP is well, like 100% not capped against structure. Like they didn't even pretend to cap AP against structures. It blatantly high AP players do way more damage against buildings in T1s than people with low AP.
Looking at the raw data,
so that seems like
I saw too. It
Yeah,
didn't
that
matter if
seems
it
like a
was Kudum or
substantial
whatever.
problem.
Yeah.
Is there any type of like player versus player interactions like that?
Yeah, so the other interesting, I didn't have a ton of time to get good data on this, but I basically did a few different tests against a player who was at the DP cap and a player who was above the DP cap, and tested damage with like DP shredding as well, because I wasn't sure if that was going to work in T1s. So I found out that DP shredding does seem to work as intended in T1s, which actually shocked me. I was like 90% sure that it was going to end up being broken. But it seems like that does work. Interestingly, though, the actual 300 DP cap does not seem to be working, or seems to be at least partially bugged, because even with no debuffs at all, a player with 320 DP was significantly tankier than a player with 300 DP on a node that is supposed to be capped at 300.
I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, I don't quite know what to make of that. The only things that were different between the 300 and the 320 were 46 less evasion and 4 less damage reduction. So this is kind of a mindfuck because the evasion shouldn't matter at all for a damage test. Like you either hit or you don't. It's very obvious if a hit gets evaded because the damage doesn't change by a little bit. It just doesn't, it changes by a shitload. So evasion, the 46 evasion shouldn't really be doing anything. And 4 DR is not enough to account for the difference in damage that I saw in these tests. So I don't know what it is. I guess there's a chance that the DR brackets are not capped, but that would only be a 2% difference. And I was seeing like a 10 to 15% difference. So, yeah, I'm all in all just kind of confused. It's definitely broken and I'm not exactly sure how. I need Big and Shiny's help.
Wow.
What about Caphras? The Caphras would have been something I would have paid attention to because that's been
there was no difference in Caphras. The only difference, the only difference was just the raw evasion and DR on because he swapped out his chest and his
it's the same player. Okay.
Yeah, same player, same class, same everything. He just swapped out a chest and an offhand. The chests were both they were like he was using Oasis gear and Tuvala gear and shit, so there was no Caphras. The crystals were the same. Like, no other variables that I can think of. It literally just seems to be broken.
That's so interesting, because I was just thinking of gymming up some, like, Tuvala gear and just doing that for T1s. And just kind of seeing anecdotally, if I felt like I was tankier or the same or whatever the case was. But I had a creeping suspicion, because I know I'm not, like, the best Guardian in the world, but when I play T1s, I feel like I have an advantage, and I've always felt that it came from gear. So I'm not surprised.
There's some players in T1s who are so ridiculously tanky, and then other players who are so squishy on the same class, and it's hard to figure out how, because like maybe on a hard node, maybe there's still people who wouldn't be capped at 300 DP, but on an easy or medium, like literally you just put on quest gear and you're at the cap. It's not hard to hit, right? Everybody should be at or above that cap now. So you shouldn't really see those discrepancies, and yet we still see major discrepancies. And so it's kind of confusing to figure out what exactly is going on. I have a couple of tinfoil theories, but it's going to take a lot more testing, I think.
So you're going to send this data that you found to Pearl Abyss, right? You're going to tell them that.
We're working on a whole write-up. That's one of the reasons we did the test this week. We're trying to send some feedback.
Good.
Wow. That's actually...
Because it'd be fine. It'd be fine if it had like a gear squish, right? Like if and that was advertised. But if they're advertising hard caps and it's not hard caps, then, especially with this big Node War revamp, they need this information. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that they don't know it. Yeah,
that's what I was about to say. I was like, I'm just surprised, like, how does something like this get through the testing? Like that should
I'm not surprised, but they should be embarrassed.
You'd notice something, yeah.
Well, I mean, there was that crit damage, and they came out with this whole like insane apologetic post, right, off of Blackstar, and like that's some real basic shit. We just know that this game is so poorly play tested, if at all. When they have to like parade a couple of devs at their little online events that play the game. Hey, look, there are devs that play the game. They stand there and wave.
That play.
That is evidence that nobody there plays the fucking game. And then all the stuff that's happened since then, it's been like this. If you booted up the game and paid attention to the content that you're putting out, you would notice these things. So none of that happens. So people like Moreland have to report this shit back, because everybody else is just looking for a fucking retweet. It's nice that somebody actually cares and wants to play test and, move the game forward in a balanced direction.
Yeah. I think this is really, really huge, because this shows how big of a flaw there is. Like, not only did they discover like these, the players discovered on the test server that there was a discrepancy in damage, and they had to discover it. Now we have the same thing going on in Node Wars. Like, how many other topics are we going to cover where things are just not working as they are advertised?
You guys know that to this day, body enhancement villas are broken as well?
Yeah,
Even-
you don't get the
even though
DP? Is that what it is?
You don't get the DP. Yeah.
Ah, the DP
Right.
is what you don't get. Yeah, I think that's just ridiculous. Like, there's no excuse for that kind of
Whoopsies.
thing. And then, like, yeah, like, what about food buffs? What about crystals? Like, maybe there's some crystals that aren't giving you the advertised stats. Like,
I don't trust any food that hasn't been tested by Big and Shiny. Remember when Simples were bugged before they got reworked?
It was Exceptionals, wasn't it?
Serendia Mills.
Whatever they were called back then. I don't remember. No, so it was after Serendia Meal. One of the cron meals, the PvE cron meal, was said
Oh, the
it was
monster
said like
damage?
25 monster AP, but you actually only got like 16. Yeah.
It was like the Exceptional, and they that's why they merged the simple and the exceptional, right? Is because one of them was broken. They just couldn't fucking figure out how to whatever.
Just made it a whole new mill.
Yeah.
They literally slammed them together.
I mean, it makes
Oh yeah, we
sense.
got a chat's blown. I'm sure Bolt's in your chat about it too. The SA cheating scandal.
What happened in South America?
Dude, I haven't seen anything that actually makes me feel like there's just a real scandal there. I feel like somebody got mad that they were banned and is trying to start some drama. I don't see any actual evidence that Red Fox is behind this. I think there could be. I think it's very likely that someone is like hacking or just injecting items into the game. That doesn't surprise me at all. I think people have been doing that since day one. But I haven't seen any evidence that the GMs are in on it. I feel like it's a big fucking.
Well,
someone is just salty about getting.
I don't know. They have drugs down there and stuff, right? They're into some shady
Well,
shit, man.
I think to give the argument a little bit more credence, isn't there was a case where a GM got fired for duplicating items during server downtime, right?
Yeah, but if that's the case, the company's going to say we have a GM who is duplicating items and we fired him. They're not going to cover it. Like the whole idea there's a big conspiracy and that they're lying to the players about it. I just haven't seen evidence of that.
So they're the last non-PA published area for
Right.
this game.
I mean,
And if they're doing something shady, you think that they're going to go, "Oh, our bad. Yeah, we had a bad egg. Sorry."
Yes,
Or do
dude.
you think
Like,
they're going to fucking cover it up
of
and
course
pretend that it
they
didn't
are.
happen?
Of course, they
Their
don't. You think
days
they
are
wanna
numbered
never-
anyway. I
You
wouldn't
think
be
they want to
surprised
never
if-
be able to work again in the industry over being able to sell some pearls to some SA players? Like,
I have
they're
no
not making
idea what
that
this
much money
company's-
off of it.
well, I
don't know.
definitely
They
think
could
it's
just
only
be like, "Fuck it."
like one thing's for sure. It's only a matter of time until Prohibus starts publishing in South America. Also, like that's only a matter of time. So, like, I definitely see them trying to keep things clean and just kind of like tidy
Red
things
Fox
up.
sent out a note.
Like-
They sent out a note. They said that there was a flaw in the the data center that a third party site was abusing.
Yeah, that sounds 100% believable to me. That doesn't surprise me at all.
You don't think they were getting a cut?
No,
You don't think it was intentional?
Well,
No?
I mean,
that's
Crazy things have
ridiculous.
happened.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Look, I wouldn't put it past some people at Red Fox to be doing that. Absolutely, of course. Every MMO has GMs that fucking dupe items and sell them. Like, there's always some entry level worker who just YOLOs and tries to make an extra, 20K, fucking up the game. Like, of course that happens. But the entire company, a company wide conspiracy cover up.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on,
okay,
on.
Yeah, I could definitely, I definitely could think it's one. I was underneath the impression that it's one individual or maybe two are bad apples.
Yeah,
I
then
never,
they would come out and say that. They'd say that we found the individual, we fired him, we banned everyone, like that, like they did last time. Didn't they already have a scandal like this? And
Yeah,
they banned
they
a guy. They fired a guy.
They just fired a guy.
Yeah, so then they're not. The entire company's going to cover it up. Like, what is this? The fucking CIA? They're not that smooth.
What's more likely is that there's a bad apple, and then the company Red Fox doesn't know about it, and so the players assume it's just Red Fox in general because Red Fox didn't know. That's probably a more likely scenario. But who even fucking cares as long as they handle the situation, right? As long as they figure out, as long as they become aware of it and they figure it out and fix it. Like, I don't think.
I bet you the same problem exists in other regions. And
Yeah. It's just more well known there because they had the previous thing. I mean,
I don't know, man. This company has like no games outside of Black Desert Online. I think this is their biggest nut.
How did they get the publishing rights to BDO in the first place if they're like a nobody company?
No idea. I've never heard in any of these other games that they're publishing.
Aren't there servers in like Florida or something like that though?
9 Dragons Awakened, 12 Sky 2 Classic, Rumble Fighter, and RF Online.
Hey, I mean,
In the BDO.
Maybe
Bro,
they're
they-
big in South America.
they made one big play there. Not sure how they did it, but hats off to them for making that happen.
Bro, you could make a better website in 15 minutes on a free website thing.
Wasn't the Russia publisher also a super small company? Wasn't that part of like how they were getting bullied out of their contracts? Wasn't that like part of the things? They had like 12 employees,
the new one or
and they
the
couldn't
old
fight
one?
back. Well, the new one's Pearl Abyss, right? They're self-published now. But the old Russia publisher, remember when they had all that drama, and they were like, "We're not going to give you your data."
There's a proxy company because in Russia, player data can't be owned by an outside country. So there's a proxy company that is, I guess, more or less ran by Pearl Abyss, but is in Russia and ran by Russians.
So apparently people have been reporting this for years and nothing has been happened. So this has been like a long systemic problem.
Wow. So
Yeah.
why is it becoming to light now?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Why is it coming to light now? Like, what was the catalyst?
Because of a Reddit post.
Just finally got enough
But
tweets,
things
I guess?
only get fixed in this game if there's a Reddit post with at least 500 upvotes. I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not, but it's a pretty clearly established pattern. That's why we have to get all this T1 data and make a big post about it, because, you know, hopefully if I get enough Reddit upvotes, then T1s will actually be fixed, since, you know, telling them that the game is broken directly in tickets doesn't do anything.
Oh, man. At least you get retweeted.
True. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. Like, do you have like a planned schedule of like when you're trying to get everything done by, or post this Reddit post about the T1 stuff?
It's kind of impossible. We have to get other guilds to drop with us and test on these nodes, and people have to, like, you know, I don't know. It's hard to organize and get people working together on it.
Right.
Well, I'm
Hopefully
glad
I
you got
can
it
get-
in before I came back to the T1 podcast tonight. So, you know,
Yeah, hopefully I can get Big and Shiny to drop with us next week, and then we can do some real tests.
that'd be good.
He
I
sounded
got
like
a
he was
lot of other
interested
things
in
I'm
it.
curious about.
He sounded like he was interested in. Do we know why he's testing? He said he was something he wanted to do beforehand. That he was really excited about.
There's so many things. There's so many things to test about how gear is capped, and like how the game decides between your DR and your evasion when it's capping you, or things like if you're, now that we know that block scales off max HP, we need to test if that scales off your actual max HP or your capped HP in T1s. Like there's a bunch of interesting things that need to be tested that have a big impact on your gearing and your effectiveness in T1s.
Wow, that's a big brain play right there. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, a lot of stuff, a lot of tinfoil.
Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to that for sure. That's going to be awesome to actually get some details on that. I mean, that's the last time I feel like something this big was kind of like discovered. Maybe it was like Big and Shiny hidden evasion or accuracy or something like that. That's the last time I feel like something this large.
Well, we've known this. We've known this for so long. We've known, like, everyone has kind of known that something is wrong. It's just about taking the initiative to actually set aside the time and get guilds to cooperate and get in one place and do the test and get the data. But everyone in the T1 scene has known that shit's broken. There's a bunch of different theories about how or why, but everyone knows that the caps are not working as intended and pretty much never have.
I think that's kind of the point, though, right? It's like we knew accuracy was on accessories, and we thought that Ring of Good Deeds were insane because we thought they had a ton of accuracy on them, but in reality, they were good but not insane. And so there was like a lot of that stuff like that. Like having that data is going to be a huge change overall because people will change their builds around it. They'll the entire play style and like classes that are good and not good will potentially change as well.
Well, there's some clip of Choice popping a frenzy while he's attacking on like a T2 node or something while he's attacking a fucking fort. So I'm sure that whole monster damage thing meta is spreading real hard. You know, that stemmed from T1. So we're gonna have to get some hard information into all these fucking idiot Pepega watch a clip and believe it to the end of the world.
Make
Players.
sure you're wearing your Kudum while you attack buildings, all right?
Yeah. Actually, those playtests and the raw data that I saw makes me want to buy an Uber even more than I wanted to. It may be my next purchase because Kudum didn't matter. Like having 301 AP would be way better in T1 Node Wars than being attacking. You know, putting on a Uber and playing with a Kudum and then putting on a Uber when I'm hitting buildings would probably be the meta play for me in my gear.
They need to swap it with a
I
hotkey.
still have some other theories about that, but we'll see. That's why we need big and shiny.
Fair.
I'm ready. I'm excited. We'll have to follow this up next week or the week after, whenever you get around to getting some more data on it. What else do we have?
Probably
I
just
feel like
touch
there was
on
something else, but I can't remember what. Tournament tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
How's that going?
right.
Is it just a warrior tournament? What kind of tournament is it?
No, it's everybody. It's the tournament to see who gets to help their class get balanced.
What a good way to put it.
I'm surprised more people don't know about this. I feel like nobody know. Every time I say this, people are so shocked. You get to help with your class balance if you win this tournament.
You said you were fighting hands? I thought you were fighting Daisy.
I'm fighting Biceptimus tomorrow. Today for practice, I'm fighting hands.
Oh, okay. Did you get any gear at all since you last fought?
Not really. A couple Caphras levels.
How does this work?
You're so fucked.
How does this work? Like
We'll see.
Like the winner just gets to talk to Pearl Abyss about it, and then
Is it still single elimination?
No, this is going to be best of 3.
Oh,
Well, single
okay.
elimination, yeah, but best of 3 to see who gets eliminated.
I saw they're letting people stream some of these fights and like shoutcast it and stuff too, instead of it just being like behind closed doors or whatever, unless a streamer happens to be in the tournament.
that's kind of nice. I like that. Kind of gives it more open faced. Like, are the players going to get to know the feedback that the player gives?
Dude, it's gonna be a stream.
I have no idea how any of it's going to work. I'm skeptical that we'll actually get to talk to the devs at all. But I don't know. Knowing the kind of people who have the like gear and the ability to win these tournaments, I just think it's going to be very funny to see whose voice actually ends up making its way to the devs.
It's so weird to have a PvP test. I feel like you could just vote on a couple of people. I don't know how to do it, but like, you know, by Septimus Prime talking about Warrior, got to respect that opinion. You talking about Warrior, got to respect that opinion. Even Hands talking about Warrior, got to respect. Like, there's people that are already well respected within the community. How come they can't figure it out since we already know it? But, you know, have a PvP test and okay.
Well,
Hey, you can ask me about
if
Sorceress
we are
any
going to
day.
have a PvP test, I feel like trials would have been the way to go. But they're saying there's going to be another trial tournament later that you gain entry to by winning one of the rounds of this tournament. So apparently I have now qualified for the trial tournament as well. And maybe that's the one who, I don't know.
The only reason I didn't go into this trial thing was because I thought as a Guardian, I'd get out geared pretty fucking easily. Turns out none of the geared Guardians did it. So if there was a trial one, I would have done the...
Yeah, I think a lot more people would have done the trial one, but you have to win the uncapped one to qualify for the trial, which feels odd. But
this company should just straight fuck
I
themselves.
feel like
dude.
this
They're
is
so
like-
bad.
This seems like some type of weird publicity thing that is being like kind of jerry-rigged or like propped up by the idea that you might get to tell the developer something. This seems, and it doesn't seem like you're not going to get a good quality candidate. Probably, like you're going to get somebody who's good at their class or has a lot of gear in their class. But I don't think that's necessarily someone who's going to be good at giving feedback. You know,
Yeah,
like,
you're gonna have somebody who fucking mapped and swiped as hard as they possibly can, winning wizard that has no idea what to do besides like just push in by themselves,
Like-
right?
yeah,
And then they're gonna be like, oh, wizard needs more buffs, mate. Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel-
All these other wizards are cunts. You know, it's
Isn't
gonna be
that
so
like-
fucking stupid.
Isn't that like the normal response to like anything though, right? It's like anytime you ask somebody about how they feel about their class, they're like, oh, my class needs a buff. Why would anybody ask anything different? It's like they're not looking out for the best interest of the game. They're looking out for what's the best interest of their class. It doesn't seem like a good way of encouraging good game development.
Well, they got all those. Remember, they got all those like Korean players together to be like a council or whatever. And after that, every single class got buffs, and Striker got like additional down smashes in their awakening kit.
Yeah.
Like, just like if you had like the dumbest fucking Striker to tell you, like if you just like in a closed room, hey, what would make Striker just like stupid fucking OP? Well, put down smashes on it because we don't need it, but it would make it brain dead. Okay. And that's literally what happened. And it happened in different iterations and different classes too. But so I don't know how much worse it could be than what they've already done. But, you know, it just, and there's well-respected people in every single server, every single community. It wouldn't be hard to figure it out if you just paid attention. But, you know, if you want to have a tournament about it that's based off of gear, and the only way to get into the non-based off of gear one is by winning or participating in the gear-based one, I just, what video game are they playing? What planet are they on?
But like, and then one of the things is like, it's not really like BDO's PvP problem is not a class imbalance problem. I mean, it would if the PvP rules were fun. The problem is like the karma system sucks. The guild v guild system like needs work. Like there needs to be a 1v1 arena. The node war rules need to be reworked. Like the mercenary system, like before any of those are fixed, or like slow stacking, right? Like there's so many other things that you can work on, like too much healing or too much AP. Like I don't know.
More importantly, every single version of PvP is completely different from the other. RBF is different from T1 Node Wars, which is different from regular Node Wars, which is different from Siege, which is different from Battle Arena.
And like, I guess my point is like, if you're doing a tournament to listen to player feedback about a particular class, does that solve any of the PvP issues? And no, it's not, because the PvP issues aren't like buff this class, nerf that class. It's not a balancing issue. It's like the game's rules are just fundamentally not fun in PvP right now for the majority of PvP game modes.
We're all holding our breath for these big changes, but you know, I don't know.
Yeah, if I did somehow miraculously get a chance to talk to devs about class balance, I honestly think I'd probably spend most of the time not necessarily talking about like specific things that I want for warrior. Like obviously everybody is going to go to the devs and say, give my class XYZ, right? Like everyone wants buffs and improvements for their class. But I think if I did somehow miraculously win, I would love to just have a chance to get the other people who won and form a consensus and like have the whole round table just be like, hey, let's focus on adding ranked arenas or battlegrounds that are actually fun, or, you know, capping slow stack, or like whatever it is, like whatever the top few issues are. I hope the people who do win can kind of get together and form like a collective consensus to show to Pearl Abyss that like, hey, these are easy fixes that you can do that everyone agrees on, regardless of the individual, you know, class tuning.
Can we all just get together with the rest of the warriors in a bracket and have them take a dive so you can just win? And have you like and have you champion that whole idea, because that sounds pretty fucking great.
Well, that tournament is kind of cool. So when the tournament times? Like when will we know do we know when we'll know the winner?
It goes for a few more weeks. The qualifiers start tomorrow. I think like mid-May is when the finals are. So there's matches like all the time between now and then.
I should have signed up as a shoutcaster. That would have been fun. Do we want to talk about some other games? What?
Yeah, how about some other games?
Okay.
Tim, Star Wars.
I mean, I kind of went over my Star Wars thing. I've actually been working on this entire time. Like, I've just been AFK on my stream in BDO because I've been working on making a doctor to res my Jedi when I die. I'm afraid to leave my house without being able to res myself. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of Star Wars just to hit that again. Really great community. It's been super fun to stream it. Very chill. I'm looking forward to. They're actually having. So get this, for a game that's been live privately for 8 years, which is longer than the actual live version of the game has been live.
It's longer than
the
BDO.
The devs who are not allowed to make any money, right? The people who do this are not allowed to make money off of this. We're just allowed to donate to cover their costs for servers and stuff. Are putting on a PvP event this Sunday for Star Wars Galaxies, and they're creating assets like free buffs and free res stations that can't be griefed in specific areas, you know, for Rebels versus Imperials. So there could be this massive group PvP thing. And I think it's so fucking great. I think it's so cool. I don't have a PvP character currently. I've just been so focused on going Jedi, but there's a lot of people who haven't had that experience because they had no idea how to get into it or what was happening. And so they're all just, you know, the whole community is just like kind of clamoring about this event that's happening on Sunday. And we're hoping for great success on it to kind of revitalize and bring some players back and stuff.
Awesome.
It's really cool.
Actually,
It's such a great community. I
I'm
mean, there's
really
gonna be griefers and shitbags too, but
I'm looking forward to seeing your like Jedi progress from like Padawan to better and like stuff like that. That's looking forward to seeing your progress on that. Kind of like
yeah,
living through your enjoyment of the game.
another day or so, and the experience will snowball, and I'll be able to turn into a pretty powerful Jedi pretty quickly. But it's another probably 10 hours of really tedious grinding before I get there.
Mm-hmm. More, you've been playing Heroes of the Storm. Is there anything else? Like, what are you looking forward to? What's up with you?
Nothing immediately. Subnautica, the sequel to Subnautica comes out, but that's still a couple weeks away.
Have you played any more Mortal 2?
Not really. I played it a bit. I played it enough to know that it needs like some major changes. They did a big patch that's like addressed a lot of things that needed addressing, but I feel like didn't really fix some of the fundamental issues the game has. I kind of have the feeling from Mortal 2 that a lot of the fundamental stuff is never going to be fixed. I don't know that it's a big priority for example, for the game to have like interesting PvE. I just don't know if the devs actually even care about solving that problem. I think they want the content to be mostly just the PvP and the more competitive aspects of it. So I still kind of feel like the game's going to be released so hardcore that it just sort of does another Darkfall where, only that small, like couple percentage of MMO players are even interested in sticking around past the first week, or even the first day if they don't fix the new player experience. But we'll see. I think it's going to be fun to play for a few months for sure when it comes out, but I just don't know if the devs are actually going to prioritize fixing the things that they would need to fix to make it a mainstream success. That's kind of like, I think it actually could be a mainstream success if they focused on fixing the right things, but I just don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't think that game has the framework for it to be possible to be a mainstream success. I think it's already kind of forked itself into being a niche success or community, or however you want to phrase that. I don't think it's got a shot in hell of being anything close to mainstream.
I think it could be like a short-term success, but maybe not long-term, right? Like kind of like that 3-month model that like Moreland was talking about, like this, like it has like a few months of play longevity, and then basically everybody's done. And I think
there's like with respect, there's like a desperation or like a weird part of your brain that drives you towards a game that's like Darkfall or like Mortal or like Mortal 2 or whatever the case is. And if you're not in that mindset for like a full loop PvP, really clunky, just broken as shit, overcomplicated for no reason kind of game that has a toxic PvP community, you're going to lasting 24 hours will be, especially if there's a box price, there's going to be a lot of chargebacks on that. It's just not going to be mainstream. They have to fundamentally change their whole idea. I feel like they're still stuck in that, 2005 Darkfall, Mortal 1 mindset. And there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of redeeming qualities to games like that, but they're still stuck in their ways. There's not like this aha moment that they had to bring these games into the light. It's just more of the same with a little better graphics.
So you think it might be like Last Oasis type vibes where it has a small population and it dwindles?
Way worse.
You think worse?
Way worse.
Because, I mean, Rust had its success. I mean, if they can do some type of a content drop where they just do slow iterations on it and accrue more players that to do that, I could see it slowly grow like Rust did. But I don't know. I haven't played Mortal 2, so I don't know.
Right. So, I played a shitload of Darkfall. I've seen these arcs. I played a lot of Last Oasis. I know the difference between Rust, Last Oasis, and Darkfall Mortal 2. That's and it's just, there's a huge, huge, huge difference. And I don't think this guy's mindset's not even on the right planet for making this a greater success than its predecessors were, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't actually think the game needs to fundamentally change, but I do think it needs a lot of work in certain areas. And I feel like the devs are going to work on, fixing C, D, and E, but they're not going to work on fixing A and B, which is what really needs to get fixed for the game to actually break through.
Right.
So,
but I think front of the house while the back's on fire.
I really think the potential is there for like a good open world sandbox PvP game. Like I don't think that model is fundamentally broken, or that people. I think a lot of people would be surprised how much they enjoyed playing a game like that if they gave it a shot. But you have to allow them to actually give it a shot. And right now, the game is just so fucking frustrating to get into. You have to be someone who's willing to, bulldoze past the first day or two of just learning everything and figuring out the controls and the crafting and everything else. And then I just don't think that people nowadays are really going to be willing to do that. But I don't know. A lot of people are very desperate for a game, so maybe they will.
It's one of the worst crafting systems I've ever seen. It's so bad. All those books and everything, and the fact that you can make anything out of anything just doesn't make sense. It's not intuitive. It is a little bit like skiing, right? Where it's hard to learn, but once you learn it, it's easy to replicate and you understand it. I get that. I understand.
Once you figure it out, it's really not that bad. But yeah, having to find all the books and shit, it doesn't make sense. It's overly complicated and overly. There's just way too many barriers to entry that don't actually add anything to the game and just make it more confusing and convoluted. But once you get past those things, the game is pretty fucking interesting and pretty immersive. And you definitely feel something when you're exploring and when you're out doing shit. And that sense of danger, adds to the gravity of the game in a way that I think a lot of people will really like, even if they haven't been big PvPers before. But it just all comes down to whether they're going to make it easier for people to get into the game. And then, I think a lot of it also comes down to how toxic the community is going to be, like you said.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually pretty surprised that you've been keeping up with Darkest Dungeon too.
I'm getting pretty close to beating the game, I think.
I'm surprised. You started pretty rough off with that. I'm surprised I haven't really caught any of your DD streams, so I don't know what's been.
Yeah, everyone kept telling me to start over without the DLC because the DLC is super punishing if you haven't played the game before and you don't know the mechanic. But I fucking stuck with it, and we're getting towards the end now. There's only a couple bosses left.
Hey, I mean, shows you a true gamer right there.
Goddamn right.
What's your least favorite part of the game?
I think just the tooltips and shit, the way things are explained is pretty annoying. You more or less have to look certain things up on the wiki to understand how they work. There's a lot of secrets in the game, which on one hand is cool, but some of the secrets, it's you can't really figure them out through normal gameplay. Like certain mechanics, there's just not enough opportunity to actually test and play around with things to get how they work. So you almost have to look them up. And that's kind of I don't know. It's like the Path of Exile thing, right? The more time I spend outside of the game reading things rather than inside the game experiencing it, I always feel like that's a flaw.
You think they did that on purpose to create some forced sense of community around the game, though?
I definitely think that's why they left the trading in Path of Exile.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it to some degree it does. To some degree, not spelling things out and forcing you to discover things is interesting. But there's a difference between encountering a mechanic a few times and then finally figuring out oh, this is how it works. There's a difference between that and encountering a mechanic over and over again and literally having no way to intuit what that mechanic is unless someone else tells you what it is.
I'm dealing with that a lot with Star Wars Galaxies right now in the Jedi system. If you do specific things, you get put on the bounty hunter terminals, but it's super specific. So if you you're holding your lightsaber, right, and you're walking around, totally fine. If your lightsaber ignites, then you get bounty. But if somebody sees you with your lightsaber ignited already, it's fine. So it's all this tribal knowledge stuff that you could not possibly know. I don't even know how people figured it out.
Wow.
But at the same time, it kind of creates this kind of community where if you see somebody who's new at this thing, then you talk about it together and what else do you know? Well, I noticed this, I noticed that. And so it's frustrating if you're just trying to sit down by yourself and play a game. But it also kind of forces a little bit of socialization that would not have been there without it. So I'm kind of seeing a positive to tribal knowledge in video games at this point, but it is super frustrating sometimes, especially when it's not fun. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think the good thing about tribal knowledge is it's something that you can't just go to YouTube and figure out. And I think that really is a thing that really destroys a lot of modern games, is because you can just go to YouTube and be like, what's the best build? And blah, 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 and you find it out. and I feel like that tribal knowledge allows a game to kind of feel reinvigorated, and because you just can't. There's no way of figuring it out, or somebody telling you, because there's no YouTube
Right. So you make
video on it.
so you can make it. I could make a YouTube video right now. Top 10 things to know about Jedi in SWG that you don't know. Boom. It's got a clickbait thing. It gives you all the tribal knowledge you need, and it's 5 minutes long.
Yeah, I'm just
So
I'm just saying.
I disagree with that, but that does create the content for it to be talked about instead of it all being spelled out. You know everything. So I kind of see like the silver lining to it, I guess, is all I'm trying to bring up. But it is an interesting conversation since I'm kind of experienced that same thing that you were complaining about in Darkest Dungeon, a different way.
Mm-hmm. For me, I've been playing League a lot, and I've talked about that several times. But one of the things I've been having a lot of trouble with in League of Legends is I'll play a particular champion, and I want to have a video that tells me about like the champion I'm playing. Like, these are the combos that work well against these other champions. These are the champions that counter you. And there's just no videos like that on YouTube. Or at least they're just very, very hard to find. And so
Don't the champion spotlights from Riot specifically tell you all that information?
They don't tell you counters, though. They don't tell you like you do these abilities in a different order on this champion. They don't tell you that these 3 champions you're strong against. They don't tell you these are the itemization paths against this type of champion. And like,
is that tribal knowledge or is that just experience?
I mean, you could say either one. I mean, it just depends on your perspective on it. Some people would be like, "Oh, that's obvious. You should know about that." But the thing is, there's no way for me. There's no way for me to YouTube it, and so it's the same thing as like you playing through a game blind.
OP.GG. OP.GG has all that information. It's Icy Veins with HOTS.
Like I'm saying, there's no way. Like, all right, so I know it's a counterplay, but how do I play against the counterplay? What items do I build in that particular setup? Like, you just can't find those videos like that. The only videos you can find are like an hour-long video of somebody playing so-and-so versus so-and-so at a high level, and you have to watch the entire 30-minute video to try to figure out how it works. And maybe it tells you, maybe it doesn't. And so anyway, my point is that it's I kind of feel like it's a similar. I'm getting a similar feeling to what you say about the Jedi skills or like Darkest Dungeon. Is like it's very hard to figure those things out on your own because there's so many champions now that
that's not really what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you, man.
I was trying to relate to you guys. Damn it!
You're just talking about like getting better at a game. We're talking about like you clearly.
But yeah, aren't you trying to get better at the game?
No. That's not what we're talking about. You're just talking about like
figuring out the mechanics and getting better at it.
Yeah. So
aren't you trying to get better at Jedi? I mean, I'm just trying to be relatable on this and saying that I feel like I have a similar experience on it. Is that so hard to like? Why you have to?
Yeah, there's no OPGG for this. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but it.
Like if it was so obvious, then like people would all be high ranks.
Okay, so the fact that I know when I'm supposed to ignite my lightsaber to not get hit by bounty hunters doesn't mean I'm going to be a good Jedi. I need to learn how to fight against other builds in Star Wars Galaxies to be a good Jedi. But the mechanics that the game literally doesn't tell you that people had to like theorycraft and find out is not the game's not popular enough to have an OPGG or an Icy Veins like it does for HOTS and League of Legends. So outside of that realm, outside of the things that Darkest Dungeon doesn't tell him, he's got to learn how to be good at that game. I've got to learn how to be good at that game. You're talking about just learning how to be good at the game. There is no tribal knowledge in League of Legends at all. It literally tells you everything.
If there was like some secret interaction where like, whenever Ezreal used his combination against fucking Garen or something, he got like a secret bonus effect. Like I feel like that kind of stuff would be tribal knowledge, right? Just practicing and figuring out like what builds and what counters. I think that's part of what makes a MOBA interesting. I'm not necessarily complaining about like games being complicated or hard to learn or having nuance. I'm more my frustration with Darkest Dungeon. Like I actually like that part of MOBAs. My frustration with Darkest Dungeon is like tooltips being it's similar to my frustration with BDO. It's like tooltips that are nearly gibberish. Like they don't actually explain the mechanic, even though they are supposed to, or information that you can't really discover just from practice because like when you try to practice things in that game, you just sort of die. Or like hidden mechanics that like some of the mechanics I think are really interesting. Like there's this one guy, Flagellant. Whenever he gets low on health, he heals other people that are behind him. Like his blood like splashes on people behind him, I guess, or and heals them or something. Like whenever he dies, other people get healed. Like that kind of thing is an interesting hidden mechanic because it's obvious. Like, oh, my Flagellant is at 0 HP and my other guys got healed as a result. Like you can piece those things together. But then there's different hidden mechanics where it's like something happens and you have no fucking idea why. And you'll see it happen 20 times and you still have no idea why that's happening. And you never will know why that's happening unless you ask someone else because it's so obscure. And that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, okay, I feel like this is a little
right. So
that.
for League of Legends,
see
anybody who wears sunglasses takes minus 1% damage or 1 damage from Leona. Like that's as close to League that Tribal Knowledge gets to League.
forgot about that.
Yeah, but it's literally in a tooltip when you load in.
Yeah, unlucky.
I don't know if you see the difference, but
I mean, it's just a matter of perspective on it. It's just like what frustrates somebody. The level of frustration just depends from person to person to person. In BDO, like people might find that having to walk to a node manager to invest energy or a value pack, that might be tribal knowledge to them because it's just something they never would have thought of. It's just a matter of perspective, and everybody has their own opinion of what tribal knowledge would mean to them because of what they're willing to put up with and what they normally research. So I mean, it's just a personal thing. There's no right or wrong answer to it. It's just a matter of like what frustrates you and like what you don't like looking up, what you can't figure out on your own. And it's different people have different levels of that. Like, I mean, going to OPGG is the same thing as having to look up and ask somebody in Darkest Dungeon how the mechanic works. Isn't that the same? That's the same thing. You still have to go externally to find the information. Anyway, I'm not really arguing about it, but it's just I don't see why like it was such a so hotly debated when it's just a personal opinion.
Hotly debated.
Yeah. Anyway, what games are you guys planning on playing? Anything on the horizon that you guys are excited about?
Last thing I had for other games was New World came out with some a GIF of or like a short video of animations and how PvP is going. I guess they're focusing on PvP right now. And they also Amazon gave up the LOTR.
Oh yeah, dude, they canceled Lord of the Rings. I forgot about that.
Well,
New World's not looking good. The animations are looking bad. They look super bad. They look rushed.
Really?
They look under developed as far as like money. Like they don't look good. They physically look cheap. They dropped LOTR. Every day that goes by, I have less and less hope for this game that has so little potential already. I'm not happy.
Speaking of Lord of the Rings Online, the reason that happened is Tencent bought out the company that was making Lord of the Rings Online. They bought them out, and so the rights belong to, I guess, the company that got bought out. So Tencent was trying to negotiate with Amazon, Amazon was trying to negotiate with Tencent to get the rights to it. And both Tencent and Amazon both have their already MMOs in development, New World, and I forgot what Tencent's is. Probably, I guess, Riot Games' MMO maybe. And so it's kind of strange. I think there's still a possibility of Lord of the Rings being developed and published by Tencent, which honestly would probably be way better than Amazon to begin with. Because I think all those assets still exist. It's just a matter of getting the Lord of the Rings rights, and I think that shouldn't be like a very hard thing for Tencent to do, I would imagine.
I'm really curious what the like details of the dispute were. I wonder if it was over like monetization or something like that. Because I don't know if it's has Amazon really shown themselves to be like that bad of a publisher? What's
they haven't had a chance.
I think as a publisher, they'd probably do a good job, but I think the first time we'll know will be either New World or Lost Ark. I think those will be one of the first two.
Well, they've kind of shit the bed with the publishing on. Well, I guess it's more the development.
Yeah, I think they are absolutely dog shit at developing games and managing development studios to make good games. I don't know why that is, but they've
They
had
probably should have. They probably should have pulled a Cacao, where they took a lot of. I played Guardian Tales on mobile from Cacao Games for a while, and they pulled so much from what they learned from BDO. They even used like BDO's little Black Spirit logo in Guardian Tales just to like pay homage to it or whatever.
Yeah, the little
And so
thing on the Black Spirit, right?
yeah, maybe they should have spent some time, actually publishing games before they dove into this multi-year, probably multi tens of millions of dollars project into starting an MMO from scratch when it's, such like you really have to understand the community and what people are looking for, because there is a clamoring. They're right that they should make one, but maybe they should have a little more experience around them and the community and the people that play it to figure out what they want, instead of just like throwing 6-figure salaries at people who are making 5-figure salaries to try to make decisions and listening to Reddit.
I mean, I feel
I
like
actually think that they did a pretty good job with New World overall in terms of like the development. If you think of everything that goes into the development of a game like that, I feel like 95% of it they did extraordinarily well in terms of like how the game runs and looks and feels and everything. Like all they really fucked up was the content, which sounds like like obviously that's a big part of the game when it comes to an MMO, but I think they actually did a really good job with all the other stuff. And in a weird way, content is kind of like the easiest thing to fix. Like you can always change the game's content or change the game's balancing or change like the gameplay loop. I feel like the actual look and feel of the game is where a lot of MMOs really fall flat. And for their first game, I feel like they did a pretty good job. Like I actually really enjoyed fighting other players in that game. I just wish that content wise, there was a reason for me to do it. Like the actual PvP balancing and objectives were fucking horrible.
But the new animations and the new stuff they're putting in looks cheap and rushed.
Yeah, I haven't seen those, so I can't comment on those. It felt pretty fucking good chasing people around and blasting them when we played. It just got boring after 20 minutes because it was like, okay, we killed everyone. Now what? Like we don't win anything.
Do you think the good things of New World that are inspiring to players or hopeful for players who are looking to maybe play in the future, do you think that is because of Amazon being a good at managing the development of the game, or do you think it's because the developers are just good at making an MMO?
Before I answer that, I want to respond to Moreland and say we won World Chat. We didn't win nothing. We won World Chat. Okay.
True, but that has nothing to do with how good or bad the game is, right? We could do that in any way.
I'm sorry. Rephrase that question. Maybe try to stab that again. That was a little ambiguous for me, Potion. What are you trying to ask?
So obviously, Amazon is a huge company, and like Amazon has lots of irons in the fire, so to speak, just like Microsoft does. And I think the so-called good things of New World are not because Amazon did a good job making a development team. I think it's more because the development team was good at making a good game. And so I wouldn't give Amazon the credit for New World and the good things about it. I would give that to the development team because they have 3 development teams, and of those 3 development teams, like only one of them has been successful. So I think that's more of the development team.
They clearly hired good people with no vision. I think that's all. I think that's the only way. I think that's
there's clearly a lot of talent there and just no direction. And like Tim said, just a huge lack of vision. But obviously they have talent. Like the game has a fuckload of potential if someone would just take a second and figure out what it's actually going to be about.
But now what they've done is they've extended the game. They've taken in like streamers and influencers, perceptions of the early version of the game, and they've rushed all this shit. The animations look fucking terrible. They have all these closed doors, secret little alpha beta things going on. I think they have I think they're in a free fall, quite frankly. Probably have less. I have as much hope for Mortal 2 being mainstream as
they had 1 year to fix
being
everything
a good game.
That was wrong, right? They had 1 year to fix everything based on their own. They want to launch the game properly. They delayed it by a year because of COVID.
They just gave themselves rope to hang themselves with. That's all they've done. Like there was some pretty good hope last year when we played this. I was super excited about it. Listen to previous episodes. And all they've done with this amount of time is just given them more and more rope, so their neck will snap even harder when they finally go live.
They are doing that dungeon type of thing. It's going to be a multiplayer dungeon thing, which seems pretty cool.
I don't want to be. I hate being pessimistic with new games because we're so thirsty for them. But the more I see from this, the less hopeful I am.
Do you think? All right, let's assume that those are placeholder animations. Do you think the new combat, outside of the animation clunkiness, if they polish the animation clunkiness, do you think the new combat and its features are better for the game or worse for the game?
I haven't been able to get my hands on it, so I've only seen a 1-minute clip. And if I had seen more, I would have had to have signed an NDA to not talk about it. So the only thing we can have a public discussion about is a 1-minute clip that they put on their Twitter.
Yes.
And from that alone, what they had previously to what they're putting out now is a step back. Huge step back. You can tell they're pressured. You can tell they're rushed. You can tell they're trying to fill too many orders and they don't have enough cooks. There's no direction and there's no vision. They're talented, but they don't have a leader and they don't have a vision. That's all I can put together and figure out.
It feels like they're trying to pump out features instead of fix the fundamentals of the game, right? Which is kind of like the same issue I have with Ashes of Creation. You know, every update of Ashes of Creation is, here's 180 new features we added. And it's like, okay, but the game, like immersion, you know, like the fundamentals of an MMO are the thing that these companies keep missing. Like, we get it. You can add a feature that another game has had and you can spice it up. Like, we get it. It's not that hard. That's not what it's not what we're missing when we're playing these games.
I don't know how you watch those Ashes of Creation videos where the GMs play it, hearing the Hikikomori Guildmaster bitch about the game in the middle of it. How did they hire him?
I want to work for Ashes of Creation. I'm going to apply, I think.
Please take his fucking job. He's an idiot.
If I was going to apply for an MMO job, I think it'd be Riot Games. Because I know they'll eventually. There's a good chance that I'll just not be able to do. I don't have to do anything because I'll get put on one of the flunky teams.
You don't speak Chinese, bro. You don't speak Chinese. Work for Jeff.
Riot Games is an American development company. What?
Mm-hmm.
It's owned by Tencent, but like the American development company is like it's all in California, I think.
Right, and they all speak Chinese, dude. Just saying.
They don't speak Chinese.
It's a port rat company, bro.
Throwback.
Gosh,
I think the Riot has a chance of being good. You don't think it has a chance of being good? I think it has a really good chance.
I think it has as much of a chance as any of the Pearl Abyss other videos that they shook in front of us. Like, you're getting excited over nothing.
Have they said anything about it? I hope that they make a gacha. I think they could make a really good gacha. I don't think they should try to make like a video game.
I think Valorant is just abortion of a video game.
But it's successful.
I can't believe it's successful. I mean, that's how little of a market there is against Counter-Strike and having cursor placement FPS.
And
nobody else has ever done
MMOs.
another cursor placement FPS. And so they come out with this just awful video game that is a conglomeration of all this stuff. And it looks like it was developed in 2005.
But it's better than everything else, isn't it?
Counter-Strike is such a better video game than Valorant could ever be. Yeah, but, just because it's old. Yeah, so now they're all hyped up on that. I can't even believe you could call that video game a success. It's so fucking bad.
It's just made a lot of money, and it's pushed the genre forward, which I think is what needs to happen with MMOs. I don't need an MMO to be the next best thing. I just need something that pushes the MMO genre forward to the next step so that someone else who has a big brain can make the next big game after that. And I think Riot Games can do that. They can make the next MMO that will move the genre forward, and then other people with bigger brains can come up with better ideas.
We need Blizzard to pull their head out of their ass. We need like an old school Blizzard to come back, but they're so stuck in their ways. Everybody keeps talking about how Riot's positioning themselves to be the next Blizzard or who's going to be the next Blizzard. There's no way it's going to be Riot, man. There's no way a Tencent owned company is going to be the next Blizzard. It's just not going to happen. It's going to have to be some grassroots movement. It can't be some AAA thing that, puts, dude, I was thinking the other day about how much I hate that Valorant's successful because it is a objectively terrible video game.
What do you not like about it? Like, what's good? What's bad about it?
The animations are bad. The skills are bad. The additions, the like hybrid Overwatch versus cursor placement thing is bad. How obvious of a ripoff of Counter-Strike it is bad. It's just there's literally nothing else. There's literally nothing else to compete with Counter-Strike. So you're bored of playing the same video game for 20 years. You go over to this fucking play school version of it and have a different experience. People are conflating different with good. That's it.
I do agree that the graphics are very lackluster. I think it's nice that they're clean and clear cut and everything like that. But I think that it definitely missed the 21st century paint that people were looking for.
I'm so tired of that being acceptable for video games. We constantly like tread water or move backwards with money and development. It's just a race to the bottom all the time instead of like actually pushing things forward. If you're in 2000 thinking, wow, I'm playing Counter-Strike 1.1, I wonder what a 2021 version of Counter-Strike is going to look like. Worse. It's going to look worse.
Well,
and it's going to play worse.
I do think that one thing that Valorant does really well is visual clarity and network latency. Those are the things I hear they do well at. I think the thing is that Counter-Strike Go players were they have a very low tolerance for anything that is like visual, like it hinders visual clarity. And so I feel like if they do a Valorant 2 and maybe a decade from now, then they can do a visual clarity. They can do like an actual graphic update, and they'll accept that, because I don't think CS:GO players would leave to go to Overwatch. So you can't make Overwatch style graphics and expect to attract CS:GO players. So they had.
But
to pick
Overwatch is really well at the tick rate on Overwatch sucked for a long time, and it's still a little bit of a hindrance. But that's an arcade shooter. That's not trying to be Counter-Strike. That they kind of made their own shooter.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Right? They made their own genre. That was probably the last good thing Blizzard has done, in my opinion. And so it's got its own scene, its own competitive scene. It does its own thing. And so it can be a little lower on tick rate. It can be a little worse on a couple of things. And it can even be a little harder on a system because it's a completely different thing. I just hate how lazy Valorant is in every way, shape, and form. I understand, cursor placement shooters want to have 200 FPS. They probably all play at 1080p and all that stuff. I played Counter-Strike semi-professionally for a little while, right? Like I get all that. But I just, I want to see evolution, not just, hey, here's something else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
I would
so
like
calling Valorant a success makes me angry.
I think success on financially. I think it's success on graphics. I think it's success in attracting CS:GO players. I think it is a failure as far as graphics go and like modernization goes.
Apex Legends, okay? I know, Moreland, but Apex Legends, they took a failed video game, what was that thing? The Mech Suits 2? What was that video game? It was so fucking terrible.
Titanfall?
Titanfall, yeah. They took Titanfall 2 and they turned it into like a battle royale. But like the servers are kind of bad, but like the fluidity of it is good. And then how the skills play into the actual FPS. It's one of the cleanest battle royales. It was a step forward for battle royale where it was like PUBG, some permanent beta thing. It was a step forward. What? What did you say?
Superior to Apex Legends?
Well, the thing about Apex Legends is it's better as far as a gameplay standpoint goes, but it's worse across the board and for competitive integrity. It has the worst ping of any game period of the shooter games. It has like the worst network latency, like the worst netcode. Like across the board, it fails in almost every single competitive aspect. Almost unanimous.
Well, the real competitions are played in LAN, right? They're played on LAN where you don't have those issues. But as far as like queuing up for rank, the rank servers are bad.
It's not just that though. It's just like the code itself is fundamentally flawed. That even if you're on LAN, it would still be a laggy experience. Like it's
negative. Absolutely not. And I'm sorry, but I have played it competitively in LAN, and I've played it competitively not on LAN, and that is not the case.
Well,
the case with Apex is that the servers are not what they should be. The servers are shitting the bed. I've literally played Apex on stage.
Yeah, I'm just saying the competitive integrity of Valorant is what makes it more popular than Apex. If Apex Legends could have the same competitive integrity that Valorant does, I think Apex would absolutely take a shit on Valorant. Because I agree with you. I think the gameplay is really
conflating.
I think the gameplay is more fun of Valorant or of Apex, but I think the Valorant competitive integrity is just what people want in a competitive game.
But Apex does not compete with Valorant. They're two very different shooters. Just because there's guns in the game don't mean that they're the same, right? Like Call of Duty and Valorant or Counter-Strike have nothing to do with each other.
Are you talking about the game mode itself? Is different enough where you don't think they compete? One's like
Right, so
a
it's a
battle
cursor
arena.
placement. It's about holding corners and like peeking with the
Okay.
cursor being right there and
That's
just
fair.
getting those headshots. That's not what
So-
Apex is. That's not what all these other games
So
are.
you think Apex competes more with like Fortnite and PUBG then, and not with CS:GO and Valorant?
That was right. That was the whole point I was
Okay.
making, is that Apex moved it forward, right? From where it was just like this PUBG thing. Here
Yeah.
comes this new great game that they're promoting, and it's a step forward overall.
I
and
get
it
that,
kind
yeah.
of
Definitely.
puts it out there. If you're going to make another battle royale, this is kind of the new barometer. Whereas Valorant was, in my opinion, a step back from Counter-Strike, but it's something different, so it's successful.
Yeah, because CS:GO is so old and outdated at this point.
And it's the same thing as it was in CS 1.1 with a couple different maps and a little more polish.
Right.
But
Yeah,
you're right. And a lot of the cursor placement people are scared because of Counter-Strike's source. They tried to put graphics before gameplay, and it was a disaster because cursor placement shooters are all about performance. But I think Valorant takes the whole thing in a step back in an arcade way, in a play style way, in every way possible. And I think it's a lucky catch grab from a company that shouldn't be encouraged to keep making low quality games like that and things that they don't understand.
Yeah, I think that you're. I think I definitely understand the difference now between like the PUBG and
Mhm.
Apex comparison compared to the CS:GO to Valorant. I do think that Valorant can, in like 5 years' time, might meet that bar a lot closer. Because like League of Legends on launch, I mean, the graphics were terrible on it. Like they had so many problems with it, and I feel like they've solved not all of those, but a lot of those issues in modern League of Legends. But it took them
Fair.
5 to 10 years to do that, right? So maybe
You know,
5 to
PUBG
10
never did it, but you know, it is that company, and they did push that game forward a lot. So you're right. You're right.
So,
I should
Yeah,
should be,
so-
you know, a little.
Maybe Valorant today doesn't live up to your expectations, but my hope is, because we've seen it in
That's a
League of
good point.
Legends, maybe in 5 years, Valorant may live up to that standard that people kind of want them to hold. And
That's a really good point.
but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. And Tencent has a pretty good track record with making sure the companies do the right thing in the long run. Oddly enough, I'm interested to see it. I think Riot Games is not necessarily going to be the best like gaming company, but I think because of their understanding of market and like what games are in high demand and stuff, I think that's what's going to make them long-term successful as the next Blizzard. I think that will probably change if they ever have a change in leadership. It's the same thing happened with Blizzard. Like when Blizzard had a change in leadership and they sold off to Activision, they just went to shit. And if we ever see that happen with the Riot Games, where the current leadership goes out the door, then whatever growth they have right now could very easily just stagnate and just continue to be the same company. You know?
Yeah, I'm worried about Diablo 4, man. I'm really worried about it. It's going to be the first new thing they put out since Overwatch, you know.
It's still years away. I do think that they have a quarterly update for Diablo 4, and that has been pretty insightful. And I mean, it's a long way off, and the proof will be in the pudding, so to speak. But I
I
think,
think it's a very hard game to make better. I think they should have just remastered Diablo 2 and let Well Enough be alone, you know, and focus on something else.
oddly enough, Diablo 2 Remastered, or what are they calling it? The Resurrection Edition or whatever, is actually better than Diablo 3 in so many different ways. It's kind of crazy.
I don't think there needs to be a 4.
Have you
I
s-
think
have you
they're
s- have
just
you seen
gonna
the
fuck that up.
graphics of the Resurrected Edition or whatever they called it? I really wish I knew
Yeah.
what that name was. I think it's incredible, and like you can toggle it on and off, just like what was it? I think it was Halo, the original edition. You can toggle on the remastered graphics and toggle it off, which I think is just so neat. You can do like a side by side comparison whenever you want.
Blizzard's good at, you know, nostalgia and bringing their games back, but, you know,
Well,
the
and
innovation's been gone for a long time.
you know the company that did that? The company that did that, or the developers that did that inside Blizzard were Vicarious Visions. Vicarious Visions are the same company that did like the Spyro remastered back in the day. They're the one who came out with one of the Destiny DLCs. They recently did the Tony Hawk Pro Skater remastered series. And every single one of those has been a huge success. And from my understanding now is that they're being moved on to another, maybe Diablo 4 or another team inside. So I think that's going to be really, really huge. And also, that same person became the vice president of Activision, I think, development or something like that. So I think maybe we can see Activision kind of rebuild Blizzard into something that is better, because the Blizzard we have now is not the Blizzard that we want, you know?
Yeah, the Activision's here to save the day again.
I mean, they've made Call of Duty into, like, even though it pumps out DLCs all the time, their new Call of Duty Warzone or whatever it was very successful, and you can't deny that. So I think I have a little hope for it.
I have to say, there's no anti-cheat. There's no anti-cheat whatsoever. It is the worst version of a BR that's ever existed.
Wait, they have no anti-cheat in it?
No anti-cheat.
Oh,
it is a fucking terrible video game.
Okay,
terrible video game.
I take back what I said.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
I think they should make Call of Duty, but you play as Warcraft heroes. No, just me?
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, definitely. Loktor, Ogar.
That's about it. Do you guys have any other games you guys want to talk about?
No, I don't.
No.
I talked about Star Wars Galaxies. And
I really feel like there was a game to talk about, but I can't think of what it is.
WildStar 2.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe it'll last longer than 6 months.
I'm trying to think if the Cyberpunk had some news recently. They're fixing the game finally, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fixable.
Talk about Outriders. Isn't Outriders like a?
It's a single playthrough game. It's really good though. It's like
hearing about that.
It's Destiny. If it was like a game that released one time, you play through it and you're done. If Destiny wasn't like a service game, that's what it would be.
It looked like the guy that had a vision for what was that game called that was like such a terrible, the third person mech suit loot shooter. What was that called?
Titanfall?
No, shit. There was some big, massive AAA game that failed. That was some third person loot shooter. So it looked like if that guy, it just looks like a bunch of games mixed together that don't work at a very low budget.
Well,
I've watched quite a bit of it.
Outriders does a really good job with giving you loot and you feeling fulfilled. Oh yeah, Anthem.
Yeah, it looked like the guy who made Anthem got together with like somebody who worked at Gears of War for a little while and tried to make a loot shooter.
It does remind me of Gears of War a lot. Yeah. I do think that like people say it's a really fun game to play through. It's sort of like a Cyberpunk feel. Like as far as like you buy the game, you play through the game, you're done with the game. That's the feeling you get from it. But it's actually, I mean, it's worth $60 for people who want a looter shooter type game. Because right now that's Warframe, Destiny 2. Is there anything else? I don't know if there's anything else. And so if you're tired of those games, which it's very possible you are, then the only other option is Outriders. Oh yeah, what's the game that Ubisoft came out with? The one that has the Dark Zone or whatever it's called. I'm trying to think what it's called. Anyway, there's that other
Division?
one. The Division, yeah. Division is the only other option. So those are your three options. If you don't want to play any of those, then Outriders is
Didn't they just announce that they're getting rid of they're not going to support the Division anymore? Like they're killing that whole IP?
I think so, yeah. It was something about that recently.
It wasn't good. It was a good idea, but the execution just never got there.
Yeah. I mean, they tried forcing this campaign scenario on me, and I just wanted to do Dark Zone 24/7 and go farm loot and kill people while farming loot.
It just get killed by hackers the whole time. I mean, it's the same thing as Warzone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that sounds fun.
All right, let's wrap this up. Let's continue next week with the endless discussion of video games. That was episode 41 and 41.5. Thank you for joining us on this insane fucking roller coaster. We are live with Nerds and Words podcast every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, roughly 12 p.m. Pacific. You can catch us on Potion Shop's YouTube and Spotify. And if you want to watch it live, it's on Moreland TV on Twitch and Tim Allen 1337 on Twitch. Before we cash out here, if you guys want to plug whatever you're doing this week on your channels, Moreland, if you want to start.
Warrior qualifiers are tomorrow. If you want to see the number one Succession Warrior in NA, see how far we can go. If I can make it one more round, that would be good. I think my Septimus has like 40 more gear score than me, so we'll see how that goes. And then, yeah, other than that, same stuff as always. Big Friday night T1 war. Darkest Dungeon, Subnautica in a couple weeks, but still got some time before that happens.
Potion, you back in the grind, man? What's up with you this week?
I am. I've been streaming every day. I accidentally played Path of Exile too long on Tuesdays, so I missed my stream. Oops. But other than that, I streamed all week, so been doing good. Really happy about being regular on streaming. My plan is tomorrow to test out Archer and see if it's better than Ninja Succession and PvE. So we're gonna be doing that. We've been doing that in for my tier list. So I have a tier list I've been working on. You can go to Potion Shop TV on Twitch and then go into chat and do ! tier list, and they'll give you the tier list I'm working on. I'm updating that at all time. It's based on like what classes are good when they're under geared for a grind spot, or what classes are good, and what classes are good at in-game grind spots. Those are two things that it's based on. We'll be working on that tomorrow. And other than that, I have a music album coming out on the 28th. So those are the two things I've been working on: this tier list and music album. So,
are you like 1v1ing your tier list PvE against each other to see which one's better and like shuffling them accordingly?
Yeah, like I played, I think 5 or 6 classes today, trying to figure out where classes were on the tier list. Like I probably did Meiwa, Meiwa Awakening, that is. We did Succession Ninja, playtested Lawn, playtested Sage Awakening some more today, to give it more accurate on the tier list, because I had it way too low, honestly.
Good for you, man. I'd rather drink toilet water than do any of that.
Yeah. So anyway, and there's a limitation because I don't know. I don't have a very. I'm usually only good with one of the two versions of the class, right? So like when I go and play Meiwa, I have really never played Succession Meiwa. I did it for like maybe 5 minutes. So all my experience is on Awakening, and so I don't really even have a way of even judging it properly because I can't play the class. So
I think it takes a lot more patience and time than you're probably giving it credit for, but I'm sure you'll figure that out.
Well, I mean, I have half the classes in the game at 62 now, and I have 63 Lawn and 66 Sork. So I've been putting in the time for it, but it's just it just requires more, and I don't think I'll ever be able to put enough time to ever get it there, because by the time I playtest one, I'll forget another one, or they'll buff something, and so it'll never be perfect. But the idea is to get to the closest that's out there in BDO. I want to have the best tier list that people have that can realistically get their hands on right now, and no one else has as many 62s or putting in the time for it. So, I mean, I have nothing else to do in BDO. I'm just bored, so might as well do something that's helpful. Anyway, that's it for me.
Fair enough. I'm going to continue. I think my BDO streaming is going to be pretty limited to T1 Node Wars for a while. I'm not really in the mood to grind, even though I've started quite a nice little bank for some upgrades. I did a Siege last week. I forgot to talk to you guys about this. And I had an AP stone. I had a 250 AP stone that I looted throughout the week. And it was the worst experience I've had in 2021. I was on Balanos and I couldn't kill anybody, even with an AP stone. It just, it just, the time to kill just doesn't matter. It's just, you get zerged or you zerg. So it was very unfun. So I'm very much looking forward to the return of T1 Fight Night on my stream tonight. And then I'm 99% sure I'm going to go to the T1 podcast again too and stream that, do that whole thing. So it should be interesting. I've been gone for a couple of weeks on that, but lots of Star Wars Galaxies and T1 Node Wars on my stream. I'm going to stay off the camera as I continue. The lights are just giving me a headache, so I got to keep getting better. But I appreciate you guys' time. Fun as always. On behalf of Moreland TV, Potion Shop TV, I'm Tim Allen 1337. This was Nerds Awards episode 41 and 41.5. Have an excellent week, and we'll see you next week.